know what? Hey, you know what? It's showtime. Ladies and gentlemen, how you guys doing tonight? Thank you for joining me tonight after show party of Jim Terry. We're going to be coming on here tonight, just sharing a little bit of my feelings, how I've been feeling lately, and I got two gentlemen that's going to be up on the show with me tonight, and two more are going to be coming over in a little bit later on. But just glad to see everybody here, and you know what to do. I don't know if my mod is here tonight, but a couple of rules: just be polite, be courteous to one another, and don't argue with nobody. And gentlemen, how you guys doing?
Good, Johnny. Good.
Yeah, I can hear you. Good to have you guys here, man. We're just going to be doing probably like a, I don't know. It depends how well the flow goes. We'll see how long we're going to be on here. I wanted to share something with you tonight, guys. That asshole Christopher Dix called me, and I came and he got me out of my shell. And I just want to say, if you guys please just bear with me. I'm just kind of shooken up from everything from last night and up till now. But I'm going to be okay. I think I'm going to be okay. And I know I'm going to be okay, because you know what? I ain't going to let nothing bring me down. Because I love everybody that's in the chat room, and I love King Samoan, and I love Ruben, and I love Jim Terry, and I love everybody. Nice to see everybody here, and De-Icer, Nancy, Dina Nicole, De-Icer, Laura P, Purple Pecs, Just Me, Joy Perry, A-Bomb. Anything you guys would like to say?
Fuck Chris Dix. Chris Dix.
Pretty fucked up what Dix is doing. It's kind of weird,
that?
To be honest. What Chris Dix is doing is kind of weird, to be honest. It sounds like
it is kind of weird. Yeah, it's kind of weird, and I just don't like what's going on, because now he said he's got to drop the bomb on me because he says I was lying, and there's no reason for me to lie. I know what the guy said, and then he said he ain't recording the conversation. Now, obviously, he said that he did record the conversation. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? If you want to record me. What else can hurt me? Nothing else. They ain't gonna hurt me. They ain't gonna take my that's not gonna take my livelihood away from me. You know what I mean?
Johnny, the shit that you've been through, that should be the least of your worries, brother.
Right. I'm just gonna brush it off off my shoulder like this.
Road, Johnny.
People wants to, because people wants to think I'm gay. They want to bully me around. I ain't gonna let.
It's not worth it.
I know. I ain't gonna let it. I'm not gonna let it. It's just that why is he doing this to me? Because I called him out. Oh, here's somebody's coming up on the panel. Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you for your reputation, Mr. X. Mr. Bex, how you doing?
I got a Cash App that's available currently, Mr. X TV.
Yeah, anybody's got a Cash App? Mr. X got one.
That's how I'm just gonna blatantly now beg. I'm not gonna even pretend anymore. Just gimme.
Gimme.
Yeah, just gimme. I'm just here for me. Gimme. There we go. Okay, we got that out of the way. What's going on, Johnny?
Oh, nothing much. I was just discussing about what Chris Dix did to me a while ago, and everybody was telling me, like King Samoan, Ruben is telling me not to let that bring me down or nothing. And I'm not going to let it bring me down. You know what I mean? Because he got what he wanted. He wanted me to bring down a video. So I brought the video down. He wins. You know what I mean? But guess what? I got a little secret in me. Somebody told me, the same people that was telling you about the stats on other people. Her name was Jennifer, Mr. X. She's telling me that I can go to YouTube and then go push in archive.org. I can probably get my video back that way.
Right. Here's the thing. If somebody came to Jim and asked him to do something like that, what do you think he would say?
Fuck you.
Yeah. And I think that Chris Dix, for whatever reason, he sees you're a nice guy. He probably thinks he can get away with that because you're an honest guy. I'm not saying that Jim is or isn't. I'm just saying that he thinks he could probably push you around. You just got to stop with that shit and just say, go fuck yourself. No more. You learned a little lesson there. Unless it's something crazy, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that ever again. Fuck it.
Yeah, I won't. And another thing is that I've been seeing, because he thinks he wants to try to bully me around, and I'm not going to let him bully me around at all.
Well, yeah, Johnny,
And
people are only going to push you as far as you'll let them, you know what I mean? You stop that shit in its tracks, they won't try it again.
That's right. That's basically what I'm saying. He thinks that he could do that with you. And
what happened was he saw me, he heard me talking to Ruben, and that's when he hung up. He hung up when he heard Ruben's voice.
Yeah.
And I was trying to call Jim at the same time, but Ruben called in so I could put Jim on the phone too with all three of us. You know what I mean? Because
now you know this now, but why the fuck do you owe that guy any of an answer? I mean, now after his father died, you could say, hey, I'm giving you the respect. I'm not going to lay into you. That's what I did. But you don't fucking owe that guy anything.
Like Moonchild says, be a buddy, not a bully, is my motto.
Yep.
Can't stand bullies, man.
Anybody else Ruben, you got something to say, buddy?
Can't stand bullies. And like Mr. X said, okay, his dad died, that's fine. But does that give him the right to go out and act like a punk and stuff like that? Have him call me.
He wouldn't.
Well, I'm not going to give your number out like that.
Give me a call, buddy. We'll have a talk. It won't be the night of Johnny, I promise you that.
Right.
You're on mute, King Samoan. You're on mute.
Oh, my bad.
There you go.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're okay.
I can hear him now.
Can you hear him, Mr. X?
Yeah, I can hear him fine.
Can everybody hear everybody in the chat? I mean, everybody on the panel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
So I guess my mod tonight, she's went to bed because she has to be at work at 5 a.m. and that's okay. We can watch it. Everybody can help me watch the chat room, right, Mr. X?
That's right. Yeah, you could just slow it down and keep your eye on it. And you can always do the subscriber chat too, which sometimes makes more people subscribe because they know they can't chat. They can't just come in here and be a hater. They at least have to subscribe for a little bit. So that's something you might want to consider doing. I mean, you could do it in the middle of the show too.
Right. Thank you, Eagle-Izer. You said you are what you eat, Dex. What happened? Hey, Mr. X, how do you do the subscriber thing? I don't know how to do that. You got to go into YouTube Studio, right?
Yeah, let me walk you through it real quick.
I'm not going to do it tonight. I'm not do it tonight. I'm going to do it tomorrow because whoever was on Jim's show tonight, I want them to hear what I have to say about my mom. Okay.
Well, they would hear it. They just wouldn't be able to chat.
Oh, okay. Well, it's okay. I'm going to leave it open tonight. Open tonight. Okay. I just don't want to, if I accidentally hit a wrong button and then the whole StreamYard just goes off. I think because I heard Chanel saying there was a big piece of the puzzle missing. Okay. That puzzle's missing is because I don't want to get hurt again. And, with my family, I mean, I really don't know them that much because she told me when I was young that she really didn't want to give me away to my grandpa and grandma, but she did it because she did it because she couldn't handle me or something like that. And I said, I'm a kid, Mom. I'm a kid. I don't know what I'm doing at times. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's when I went to my grandma and my grandpa, and I had a beautiful, beautiful life going on with them until the age of 11, 12 years old. And then CPS got involved because of what happened to me. And, when I got molested when I was a young boy. And so CPS got involved. If anybody doesn't know what CPS means, it's called Child Protective Services. And so that happened to me. And the reason why I'm sharing this tonight is because in my heart, I wanted to get it off my chest once and for all. I'm going to give my mom a call. yes, I'll give my mom a call and I'll talk to her, see what she has to say. And I'm gonna be polite because she's, she is my mother. I'm gonna be polite. I'm not gonna call her names. I'm not gonna call her out of the book. I will listen to her. And I just feel like I need to get that off my chest to say I'm gonna give my mom a chance. You know what I mean? See what she has to say. Any take on that, guys?
Yeah, my take is this. I mean, when you were quote unquote given up, or you left at age 9, or you were, I don't know the right word, but you went with your grandparents at age 9, correct?
Yes, age 8.
And you mentioned that you were rambunctious, or you got into trouble. What kind of trouble can a 9-year-old get into that's that bad? You know what I mean? Like, what is that? 5th grade, 6th grade?
Running away from home, confused about everything. Why am I not seeing my mom on a daily basis? Why am I not, seeing my siblings and stuff like that? But they had no answer for me. Nobody didn't have no answers for me. And so that's when I started just acting up, hanging out with friends. Remember, from 9 to 12 years old is when I started like not doing my homework no more, not doing anything, and just not doing anything. You know what I mean?
Okay, so 9 years old, Snook said, is 2nd grade. Okay, that's like when you're learning to read.
No, ninth grade.
That'd be like
when I was 9 years old. When I was 9 years old, I was in the 3rd grade.
3rd grade. Okay, that makes sense.
3rd or 4th grade, and Johnny.
I mean, I was just learning to tie my shoes at that point.
Chanel, thank you for saying. Thank you, Chanel,
I'll
for
tell
saying
you
that
one
to me.
thing, Johnny. You having that trauma in your life. My ex-wife, her parents were locked up when she was a kid, 4 years old, and it's haunted her whole life. She still has the trauma from it, even being in her 30s now. I married her when she was 21, and she still has that trauma. She went through alcohol and drugs because of it. She went through. She was a pretty wild kid through those same years you're saying, like the 12, 13, all the way up to 16, 17. She was wild, in and out of, group homes. And, she lived the life like that, but it never leaves her. It's always still there. She always has those demons of not having her mom and dad. So I don't know how you feel about it, but it's always, it still hurts her in the back of her mind. It's always there for her.
Right. And and I appreciate most of you guys coming over here tonight. I appreciate everybody coming over here tonight, especially you, Mr. X, because you were just on a show everybody was on a show for like almost 3 hours tonight again.
Yeah, 3 hours.
You guys. I don't know how to explain it, but I appreciate y'all so much, and I really do, and I really am like. I'm cut off on words tonight because I'm really not what to say. So we can just like try to cut it up and be funny about tonight. That would be really like, I like to get in a happy mood. If somebody can help me get in a happy mood tonight.
Sounds good.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Because I just had that terrible phone call with, who, and I'm just kind of,
Johnny. Hey, Johnny.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, why don't you tell us some of the happier things you had in your life then? Not focus on so much of the negative stuff. Why don't you tell, because we don't know a whole lot about you. So why don't you tell us some of the good shit?
Okay, some of the good shit. So at one point when I was on the road in the Carnival business, I was doing good. At the age of 18, I run it back all the way to and run it back to when I was 18 years old. Coming out of that BTR, behavior training research, and out of Houston, Texas, and I went into downtown Fort Worth. There was a carnival there. It was called the Fort Worth Stock Show, and I went there and I went and joined the fair. I said, "Hey man, I'm new at this. I would like to join y'all. I would like to become a ride." I was a ride person. I was a ride guy first. I became a ride person, learning how to take down the wave swinger and the slide in the Himalaya. But anyway, and after I tore everything down, they landed everybody up, and we got paid. I said, I'm 18 years old, and I'm getting like $150. That's cool. That's a lot of money for an 18-year-old guy. You know what I mean? And back in the day, and so I got $150, and that was my pay for just that night. And then I started saying, you know what? I want to buy me a car. I want to buy me a car. And so I saved that money, and I went to the next location, and I met different people through, different singers, different other suspects, other people to interact with. And I was interacting with good people, you know what I mean? And overall, I mean, I just kept on having a great time working at the fair, you know what I mean? And it is, and then I turned, and I remember when I turned 19 years old, I became a supervisor for this one guy. And he says, I want you to go right. You're going to be a foreman of your ride. A foreman. There you go. Keyword foreman. I'm going to be a foreman of my ride. I get to pick who I want to help me set it up and tear it down. So I hired every spot we went to. I hired 3 guys to help me put it together and to tear it back down. And so my pay went up there. So I started getting like $350 now, $350. You know what I mean? And then I turned 20. Then I turned 20 years old. I had a car by then. I had a car, and then I had some, had some things, like in my car. Had my, my clothes, and I started buying me more nicer clothes and stuff like that. And then I came to California doing the Orange County Fair. And that was with Tom Talley Amusements, working at that fair. And that fair is huge, man. You know what I mean? Mr. X, you ever been to Orange County Fair?
I have been to the Orange County Fair. My first year in Los Angeles, it was 2004, 2005. So that was one of the year I lived in Anaheim. It's the only year I ever been there. I went with a girl I was dating at that time. And I tell you this, I mean, it is really not a story about the fair, but I was driving there, and I was having problems driving in the big freeways at night. And there was a guy who kind of almost ran us off the road. It's a Mexican guy, right? Because
Right.
I pulled over and there was some shit talking and this and that. And I got back in the car, and this girl said some things, and I was like, man, this girl's fucked up. It's probably because she wasn't that hot either. But yeah, that was the only time I ever went there. I don't know why that reminds me of that. But there was almost some shit talking. We got ran off the road. I was talking shit back, and then she just said some real weird shit. And I'm like, yeah. Okay, well, I'm just going to use this as an excuse to never see this bitch again. Now,
right. So
what happened? I think it was on the 55 right near Garden Grove.
Yeah, I know where that is. 55 and the 22, huh?
Yep. Because I was like, wow. I mean, I'm new. I mean, in Florida, there's not a lot of Mexican people. There's definitely, Cuban people. But I just never heard so much trash talking like this. Like, I was upset because I just got ran off the road. And it's like, okay, I have a reason. But, like, it got racial real quick. And I'm like, okay. So,
have you guys ever been to, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's it.
Have you guys ever been to the LA County Fair in Pomona?
No, Pomona Fairplex. I know what it is.
Yeah. I've been. I played that spot too. I was working the that room because it leads up to the story in Orange County. So we stopped in Pomona. We stopped in Pomona, and I think Orange County Fair was first, and then Pomona is after Orange County Fair. Yeah. I believe so. And so, like, I was working the Aladdin Funhouse where there's the glass house where there's a whole bunch of like different mirrors, and you get lost mirror maze, and you get lost in it. And then the one fun house that I would work, I had where you can do a handstand in the barrel. Have you ever done that, Mr. X? Or
I have not. The fun houses and the rides I didn't necessarily go on a lot. I mean, I was more one of the kind of guys that would just go there. If there was like a side show, I would do that. Maybe get something to eat. Maybe play one game and just kind of just walk around. I like Ferris wheels, but nothing ever too like. I would never go on those fun houses or anything like that.
Right.
How about you, Ruben? Have you ever been in a fun house?
A fun house, like a maze?
Like at the carnival. You ever been to the carnival and went through a fun house and stuff like that?
Yeah, I've been through mazes, but not no rides. I'm a bitch when it comes to rides.
Oh, this is where you can walk through it. That's all. Where you can walk through it.
Yeah, yeah.
Pomona Fairplex is off the 605, Danielle.
Like Magic Mountain and stuff. No, you won't catch me going to those places.
No?
And a not scary farm. You know what I mean? But I ain't, going no rides and shit like that.
I tell you what, Knott's Berry Farm, that fucking chicken over there, that's good work. Yeah.
Thank you, King Samoan, for the cash app. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
I told Mr. X this. My uncle used to play. Used to be in a Christian rock band. He would play at Knott's Berry Farm, and I remember going watching him.
Yeah,
Knott's Berry Farm.
Knott's Berry Farm's legit. I did that one of the first remote kind of lives from there. Hadn't been there. It still looks like it did in 1970s, but it's cheap to get in. It's cheap to park for compared to Disney. But Pomona, let me tell you something about Pomona real quick. That's where they have the auctions for not vandalized home, but vacant homes, like for properties, homes that people have lost, and then the county takes over. It's actually at the Pomona Fairplex. It's a little piece of information for you. I'll just leave with you.
They also do the like the real nice cars, done up cars, Lamborghinis, shit like that too.
Yes, all that kind of stuff. I could have swore the Pomona Fairplex. Maybe I'm thinking the racetrack Stage Tech 2 is off of the 605. I could have swore I pass it every time I go up to Vegas, 605 and almost getting up to that 210-ish. But maybe I'm wrong. You guys might be right. I don't know. I never actually went in there, but I could have swore I saw it on the west side of the 605 on the way up to the 210.
Back when I was
the only time I'm ever out there is when I go to fucking Vegas.
They would have like the, lowrider shows.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Ruben, you got a lowrider?
Off the 15. Off the 15, Mr. X.
When I sit on the bike. You know what I mean? That's about
off the 15.
Off the 15. Okay.
I always wanted a lowrider with some triple gold Daytons on it. I thought it'd be
right.
dope.
Huh. I had a 78 Caprice in high school and stuff, and this is back when the homies and stuff, they had their lowriders and everything. And I was gonna do mine up, and we got drunk one night, and we had a homegirl's house, and so I'm driving back, you know what I mean? And I got like 3 homies in the car, and
yeah, Diana.
I don't know if you know, what an aqueduct is, but we have an aqueduct that comes through, our areas. The water comes from the Colorado River, and like this like big ass hill, right? And they're all fucking jump the hill, and I was like, fuck it, boom. And I'm fucking going and going. I guess they didn't think I was going to do it. And I did it. And fucking, there went my 7 Caprice. It was done. I had to get that shit towed home.
Oh, Jesus.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
How big was an aqueduct? I mean, the one in Antelope Valley, you couldn't jump that thing. That thing's got to be like a river.
Oh, I didn't jump over it. I just jumped up the hill. You know what I mean?
Oh, you jumped up the side? Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
You get stuck down into one of those things, you're dead.
Yeah,
I still got my very first car, Ruben.
Oh, is that right?
I did. It's a 69 Oldsmobile.
Damn.
Nice. Yeah. Cutlass Supreme. Still have it. Still sitting at the house. I'm going to give it to my oldest son when he gets old enough to drive, see how he likes it. Because I didn't like it at the time.
Yeah, I've had a few cars. I had a 95 Mustang convertible. I got that thing for cheap as fuck. There was a temp at this glass factory I worked at, and he was hard up on money, and he had wrecked it. And my ex-brother-in-law, he's like a master mechanic. So I got his number and everything. And after work, we went and looked at it, and all he wanted was $500. And all I had to do was get it out of impound. It was like nothing. You know what I mean? Maybe I don't even want to say $1,000 in parts. You know what I mean? But it wasn't even that. It's fucking clean as shit. I mean, this dude, he took care of it, other than he crashed it. But then my drunk ass, I crashed that thing twice, and I had to get rid of it. Oh. Either stop drinking or keep the car, and I didn't want to stop drinking, so I got rid of the car.
Damn.
Yeah. I used to own a 1990, no, not a 90, but a 1976 Pinto. I had a 96, the Pinto cars that looked like a hunchback, had a little hunchback to it. Well, anyway, what happened was at one time I wasn't paying attention. I was looking at my radio, and I ran into a telephone pole. Bam! So I crushed that motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some of those old cars are badass. I can tell you this, since we're talking about old cars. So I was working my first year there, Gay Sloth, in Los Alamitos, okay, which is down there in Orange County. There's a track down there.
Race car,
I was working at this shitty. Well, if they were going to have sports gambling, that's where it was going to be at. But anyways, there was a shitty place I used to work at called McCabe's down there, Quality Foods. There's a customer service job. Basically, they provided, it's a story I've never told before. They provided food to like Olive Garden and, you know, Chili's and all that. They distributed, and I dealt with people on the phone. So it was one of my first jobs when I got in, you know, just one of those boring office space type customer service. So I'm talking to a guy there. And I'm telling him how I want to do a film and all this and that. And he's like, and I don't know if I should say this because it's going to give away a lot, but I got an old El Camino. And I said, what? And he goes, yeah. He's like, and it barely runs, but it runs well enough that I think you could. I said, well, I'm looking to do a car chase. I said, what year is it? And he's like, 72. And I was like, oh, how much you want for it? This is 2005, $200.
Damn.
And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And he's like, yeah, I'll just give it to you. I mean, virtually gave it to me. In fact, I got the title to this day. I never transferred it into my name. So when the film came, we towed it out to Apple Valley, which is called Soggy Dry Lake Bed, Lucerne Valley. And because El Mirage Dry Lake Bed is too far and too busy. It's BLM land, Bureau of Land Management. Anyway, so we went out there and I fucking wrecked it for this movie. In fact, I wrecked it so bad, I left it out there upside down. It was still running. Okay. So one of my buddies is like, X, hey, can I have that car? I was like, yeah, if you can go flip it over and take it, you can have it. And he did it. He took it, and I have no idea whatever happens. I still have the fucking title to it. Don't know. Hey, that's probably the coolest part, and I wish I would have fucking kept it because it was still running on its fucking roof. Unbelievable. So that's my story.
Then people's out there in Lucerne, they fucking flip that bitch over and fix that shit straight up. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Flipped, and then they were doing some shit out there where, Lucerne, where they had that big earthquake. They had a thing out there where they were doing like, dune buggy races, and they would jump hills and all this shit. Yeah. Decapitated somebody like a year later, like right in the same spot. It's like, ugh.
Hey, do you guys like El Caminos?
Yes.
Somebody in the chat room says, "Do y'all remember? Anybody remembers El Caminos?" That's one car that I have never got to ride in or anything like that. But I would like to one day own one of those El Caminos.
They've gone up in value so much because I try to find that same car again, that type of car, and I can tell you, well, if you ever seen any of the Mr. X films, then you'll know what that car is. I basically just gave it away, but that car is in one of the biggest car chases I've ever had in one of my films. So it's out there, and it's going to come out again. Anyway, the point is this. Those things are like fucking tanks. I mean, you could run them. I mean, if you could get one running decent, and I'm talking about the 70s, not the little bullshit that came out in 2006, the hardcore ones, those things are, like I said, fucking tanks. You could, that's what you need for the Armageddon.
Right.
Right now we got 73 in the chat room, Mr. X and Ruben and King Samoan.
There you go.
When I was younger, we went to go visit my dad. He was, he was out of prison at this time, and he was staying at my auntie's house. And my cousin Ray used to have a paper route, so we would go with him on his paper route. And this one night, I've seen a Corvette and a Cadillac get into an accident, and this old black couple was in the Cadillac, right? This white dude's in this Corvette. The Corvette was fucking just smashed, right? And we go and we look at the Cadillac. It had like a little dent on the bumper and a flat tire, and that was about it.
That's it. Yep. Fucking tank. And where were you at when that happened? Victorville?
Never get a fucking Corvette. No, this was where was this? This is down the hill somewhere.
I was gonna say, was he delivering papers for the High Desert Star?
No, but you told me about that.
Yeah, I've been around. You know what I'm saying? I've been. We can talk about San Diego. We can talk about Apple Valley. Anyway.
Right.
All right.
No, this is down the hill. Unfortunately, when he turned 18, he passed away in a car accident. But yeah, that shit was. I'll never buy a Corvette. After I seen that, I was like, hell no. We watched this shit like right when it happened and stuff, and we actually went up to the old couple and asked them okay, and they were a little shook up and stuff. And I was just like, what the fuck?
We're seeing all those cars go up in price. About 10 years ago, I know it's going to sound crazy, I was looking at getting a DeLorean, and they were about 20 grand. They're like, I think it was 81 through 83. I like the 83 version of it. And you couldn't, now they're like 40. There's a place in Garden Grove that is a DeLorean motor parts play. Obviously, the main company went out of business, but somebody bought in Texas all the DeLorean parts, and they were going to redo them. One of their based companies was in Garden Grove. Another Orange County reference there. So I was looking at getting one, and then like a couple years later, they went from 20 to 40. And those things are like tinfoil too. You don't want it, and they're real low. But they're all Volvo parts. They're kind of weird. I mean, everybody knows it from Back to the Future. But I sat in one, and I was shocked how low it was. I felt dangerous. So we'll see. Maybe one day I'll get it.
Like out in Ireland or something like that.
What's that?
I think they had a plant like out in Ireland.
Yeah, they had John Z. DeLorean. He was allegedly smuggling cocaine in it. And he took it out, or he was something with cocaine, and and he got busted. It was a badass car. It's just it only lasted for a couple of years. Had the gull wing doors, stainless steels, but everybody knows it from Back to the Future. But it has a Volvo engine, so if you fuck the car up, if you have somebody who works on Volvos, you could fix it real easy.
Mr. X, old DeLorean, he had a shop in Utah as well.
Did he have one? Okay, so he had one.
Did, DMC. It was in Logan, Utah. Actually, Smithfield, Utah, right in between Logan and Richmond, Utah. And,
do you know when this was? Would it have been around the years he was active?
No, this would have been after DeLorean. The cars came out. This would have been in the 90s sometime. But he switched from cars to Bearcats, the snow cats. The snow machines that push snow.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that, huh?
Yeah, so he actually had a shop there for quite a while. It went from being called DMC, which is, DeLorean Manufacturing, to LMC. So somebody bought him out sometime, and I believe it was the 90s.
So wasn't he in the clinker in the 90s? I mean, wasn't he in prison?
I'm not sure. I just remember seeing that as a kid, because I have a lot of family in Utah. So I remember seeing that, and somebody was telling me that that's what they did. They built those snow machines. Well, they had a bunch of them outside, but that's what I heard, that he owned that shop, and then it got bought out by somebody local.
Let me see where he was at in the 90s, because he died in 2005.
I guess he was a pretty smart dude. He just couldn't get shit together.
Well, he was just way in over his head here. He's going to try to create a car in the 80s with all the when all the car companies are going downhill, and he's creating something different and new and badass. And, then he had the kind of shenanigans behind it. But I'm curious where he would have been at. That's real interesting in the 90s. I'd never heard that.
Yeah. I met some pretty cool people all over the place. Kind of going to dox myself a little bit, but my dad, he, the machines that meter all the alcohol, different alcohol machines. So no, not the breathalyzer, the actual restaurants. A lot of restaurants, meter their alcohol because that's the biggest expense in a restaurant is the liquor. Right. You get a lot of people stealing liquor, the bartenders, so a lot of them, they have metering systems on them. And my dad actually holds a bunch of those patents, and somebody's probably going to go look it all up too. But anyway, he owns a bunch of those patents still in the liquor business, including ones like for Jaeger, where you can free pour Jaeger. Free pour is easy, but the liquor's so thick that you can't push it through a line, to go into like a liquor gun. So he invented the freezing machine that actually freezes the liquor through the line, so it actually goes through and doesn't crystallize and sugar up. Stuff like that. But
no shit.
Yeah. Little interesting.
One thing, it's King Samoan, right? Isn't that who you are?
Yeah.
Okay, because I know you got a different name up here, and I don't have you. I'm looking at the Wikipedia. It says DeLorean in '99 declared bankruptcy on 40 legal cases during the collapse or after the collapse of DeLorean Motor Company. He was forced to sell his 434-acre estate in Bedminster in 2000 to Donald Trump bought it, and he converted it into a golf course. Is Bedminster the area you're talking about?
Nope. This would have
That's
been
in New
not
Jersey.
Utah. Yeah, see, this is in Utah, in Smithfield, Utah, I believe. It's right there next to Logan, Utah. You know, small town. It's small. It's not very big.
Salty pancakes hanging out there.
People like him, yeah.
Mowing the grass there or something.
It's all Mormons there, that's for sure. Probably 95% of them at that time when I was there in the 90s.
Are there any Samoan Mormons?
A lot.
A lot. Yeah.
Really?
Almost. Yeah. That's what I was telling these guys the other night is Samoa and Tonga both have some of the highest population of Mormons in the, you know, per person or per capita. Tonga has the #1 highest. But there's pretty much only 2 religions out there. There's Roman Catholics and Mormons.
Yeah, I knew the Roman Catholic part. You know, the only thing I know about Tonga is that pro wrestlers from there. Ming
and the Tongan
he's from there.
Grip. That's one of my favorite wrestlers. He got the Tongan
That's
Death
like
Grip.
the toughest dude I heard ever.
Right.
Heard he's a real nice guy too. Never met him, but that's what I've always heard.
Yeah, I'm a big wrestling fan, so that's kind of my era.
Me too. Let me see. I'm looking it up. I can't find anything though.
Yeah.
I can't even find how long he was in jail.
I don't think he went to jail. I think he just had a good lawyer or some shit and lost everything.
You're 100% right. The most he ever spent behind bars was 10 days.
Yeah, that's nothing.
Fuck, he went through all salty pancakes. Was in prison for 3 years.
For being a bitch.
Yeah, being a bitch, staring at a wall. When am I gonna get out?
You know, I still have a brother in Utah prison.
We got a phone call coming in, guys.
All right, well,
you're on live. Who is this?
The wrong nice choices.
Rainbow Melon's on the chat, guys. How you guys doing?
She never calls us.
I love you, Bob. I think you're a cool guy, man. And I think you should call your mother, okay?
Okay.
I really believe you should, because it's the only way you're going to move forward in life.
Okay.
Whether it's good or bad, at least you'll know because you tried, you know?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? Because I happen to know a little something about some of this stuff and some of the things you went through. Okay? Believe me, I've lived a little. Okay?
Okay.
Trust and believe. So please call your mom.
Okay, I will.
You don't want to have regrets, you know?
Right.
And you should never be anybody's victim. You know, you're old enough to make your own decisions now. You know, all your choices are your own these days. You can't fall back on what they've done to you or anybody's done to you in your life. You have to move forward, man.
You're totally
I've been
correct.
through it too. So.
Right on.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, Mr. X.
Hey, Rainbow Melon, what's going on?
I love you guys.
You should. You should love me.
I love you, Mr. X.
Yes, yeah, of course you do. I know who you are. And don't listen to Jim when he talks about that professional black thing. He's looking for attention. He says things out of turn. He's seeking attention. You ever heard of that website, Seeking Arrangement? Jim's seeking attention.
What does that mean anyway? What's professional black? What the fuck? I mean,
You don't know what that
does
means? You don't know what that means?
No, I don't. I don't do the Google for information.
It kind of means like.
They should tell me what it means.
I mean, I could tell you generally what it means. Jim would probably be able to give you a better definition. You know how they have that, and I know for lack of a better term, but like they have the token black lady or black guy at a job, and they kind of do all the stereotypical things to fit in.
Just tell him to check the chat.
I think that's what. That would be what it's like a professional version of that. I think. Now, I might be wrong about that, but, and I'm probably not saying it as harsh as Jim would, but it's something to that effect. But sure, Jim probably knows a lot more about it than me.
Listen to this. I am biracial. I come from two sides, okay? My mother was white. She was Polish and German. My father was black. He's from down south, okay? So I know, if he's talking about fitting in, okay, maybe I do know how to fit in because I've been from both sides of the coin. You understand?
Where's your dad from? Louisiana? Where's he from down south? What's down south mean?
Georgia, Macon, Georgia.
Okay, Macon. I've been through there. I know Macon, sure.
Yeah, he's from down south and all that. But, you know, That didn't make any sense because you don't know me like that to be call me something like that, but you know, hey.
Right, well,
maybe he needs to think of it.
he'll talk about anybody. That's why people like him or dislike him, I guess. But yeah, it is what it is. You know, I tell you something about Macon. It's interesting. That southern part of Georgia is more the South than Central Florida.
Yeah.
You know, because you know, growing up in Central Florida, Orlando, you know, Clearwater, Tampa, St. Pete, it's not really the South, even though it's more southern technically on a map. But that northern Florida, southern Georgia is like the real South, which, you know, the quote unquote, like the rebel flag type South.
They hang those rebel flags over there in southern Georgia.
Yeah, that bullshit.
I spent 6 months over there in southern Georgia in Statesboro. And they take that shit serious over there.
Oh, yeah, they do. What, were you college there or something?
No, I was doing some work over there. So when I owned a construction company, they took us over there for 6 months to train a bunch of their employees. So I spent a bunch of time over there. I met some pretty interesting people. A lot of Southern Confederate sons, or I don't know what they're. Yeah,
there's some goofy shit. When I lived in New Orleans for 5 years, I could tell you this, Rainbow Melon, they got a different history class than I fucking grew up with. I mean, their heroes are fucking Robert E. Lee and shit. I don't know what the fuck's going on. They got all kind of different rules, and you know, it's just goofy down there. I had to get the fuck out of there. I know people don't like Los Angeles or California, but fuck them. It makes a lot more sense here to me than New Orleans or Louisiana does. That's straight up. Spend some time down there. Now, Georgia a little bit different. Georgia a little more progressive. I like Georgia better, but Mississippi's kind of goofy too. You can ask Jim about that.
Oh, maybe that's why he said professional, but he's confused.
Yeah, he's definitely confused. Hey, go out to fucking that some of those areas in Mississippi. You can get real confused out there real quick. I'm confused.
But I just want to kind of slow up to, you know, just to go ahead and call his mom. You know, I really think it's important for him because, you know, he's still feeling bad about everything, you know, as a kid. And you're a grown man now, you know. You don't need to be carrying that dude. Really, you really don't. You're a good dude, you know. I really believe you're a good dude.
Thank you. Thank you.
So just call your mom, man.
As soon as Jim gives me the number, I sure will.
Okay. And if your mom doesn't act the way you want her to act, don't be, you know, upset, mad, or anything, you know. You gotta cry it out, and get it out your system, but don't carry it. Is my point.
I got it, you.
Okay, I appreciate it.
No problem, Rainbow Melon. I really appreciate you calling in.
All right, thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, there you go. That was Rainbow Melon.
Rainbow Melon.
All right.
Rainbow
See you in the
Melon.
chat a lot.
I like that name, Rainbow Melon. You know.
Yeah.
Just because it says rainbow in the beginning. I don't know about the melon part, but but the rainbow, I love the rainbow. So
Skittles.
Where's PZ at?
Oh, as a matter of fact, PZ sent you a link for
The story in Utah.
the what?
The story of DeLorean in Utah.
The story of the DeLorean
In Utah.
Oh, did he? Okay.
in Utah.
Fuck. Which one? The Mr. X one or the Jim one?
I just
Don't say it out loud. Don't read the whole thing out.
It was Jim Terry.
No, it's just up here. I didn't email
I
it.
bet. I didn't get none.
Did he get it now?
It's on chat.
Oh, it's on chat. He did it in the chat.
Oh, fuck.
Send it to his email.
No, I mean, he don't have to do it. That's good. I mean, you know, I would check it out, but and I've watched a little documentary. I always pretend like I read books, but really I just watch things on YouTube and act like I'm well read.
Yeah.
That's the YouTube University right there.
Yeah, that's how I learned it. I saw a man the other day build a fucking hole in the snow, and then all of a sudden he was living down there, and he built like this shack underneath the fucking ground. I was like, man, this is better than some of the people that are homeless in Los Angeles. They need to get this fucking guy out here and start teaching people. He's fucking with wood and everything. This guy figured it out. He was somewhere in Pennsylvania.
I watched a thing on some documentary. I don't know if it was Prime or something like that, but this dude back in, I want to say like maybe the 60s, came from, I want to say France or some shit like that, right?
Okay.
And he bought some land out in Fresno, and I have family out in Fresno and stuff.
Sure.
You know, but when he had went and looked at it, you know, he hadn't seen it. He had just bought it from somebody, whatever. And he went out there, and it was just like desert, you know. And he's like, "What the fuck am I going to do with this?" Well, this dude ended up fucking building an underground house and all this stuff just with a freaking shovel. And they showed that the simple tools that he used. I mean, I don't know if it's still there. I've never heard. That was the first time I ever heard about it. And I mean, like I said, I have family out there, and they never heard about it. I don't know if they took it down or something, but it was tight. He did something like to have the air flow through, and light and everything. So it was pretty crazy. You know, people got some good minds out there.
I love watching that stuff. I tell you this. Here's another. I hate to take up your guys' time, but I'll tell you a quick story. There's a guy out there who's got a bunker company in Arizona. It's called Atlas Shelter, and the guy's a real fucking weirdo. He's end of the world type guy. Real January 6th type motherfucker. So and I prepper all that bullshit, whatever. But he's into that shit, and he's always posting about it. And he's like, I mean, that's what he's selling. So I've seen they have these corrugated steels. They're like giant pipes, okay? And if it's a circular pipe, obviously that's going to be better, deeper underground than if you try to put a fucking shipping container that's square, because that shit will eventually cave in. So he talks about it. Now, he's a little goofy, but, obviously he knows how it works, how to break it down. And some of those places that are underground that this guy sells at, he sent me what is it, to buy one, like a JCPenney catalog of it, I mean, for those of you who remember the JCPenney catalog. But anyways, he sent this over to me, and I was checking it out. Some are like 30, 40, 50 grand, but the dig is the expensive part. Now, the guy, you had a family member do the dig by hand. These people are doing it with fucking backhoes and shit and excavators and all that stuff. So if you could do that part of it, getting the corrugated steel pipe in the air conditioning and all that, not the air conditioning, the air piping, it's actually not the expensive part. So it's an interesting thing. I was thinking about renting one out for a film, so I started reading a lot about them, and I found one up in Tehachapi. Fucking all these weird places around LA talk about that as a prison up there. I didn't even know what that fucking was. And this guy's like, yeah, we got one up in Tehachapi. I said, where? And it's like past Antelope Valley. So, something I'm just learning about. But I would love to know if that still exists, because I was looking for one.
Yeah.
How do they put those in place? Do they have to put it? You have to get a crane to set
you get a crane. It has like an I-ring beam, and they kind of lower it in. And there's a certain type of excavation they do. See, that's the thing I wanted to do. There's an escape tunnel. I forget what that. There's like some kind of like air filter that you can run with by hand cranking in case the generators go down. But I was like, man, if you had one of these, I mean, the guy in Tehachapi was talking about doing the Airbnb for it. I don't know who the hell would want to go underground for an Airbnb. I mean, it's not too stylish. I was like, would you rent it for a film? He's like, yeah. And he thinks I'm fucking, Daddy Warbucks rich. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'll give you 1,000. He's like, whoa. And I'm like, whoa, motherfucker, Tehachapi, you know how far that is? This is how I talk to people. I don't talk to them like that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I would.
Singing Cat, hold on, guys. Singing Cat, don't be blocking nobody in my chat room. Please don't do that, okay?
Is Singing Cat a mod?
It's just Mike.
I think they're blocking each other, aren't they?
I'm reading the chat, and they're going back and forth. And it says right here. Oh, it went down. Hold on, let me see what it says real quick.
Because if he's not a mod, he can't block anybody.
Oh, okay. Well,
they're talking about blocking each other.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Seeing each other's stuff.
As I talk shit, I also read the chat. I got one eye. I'm like one of those fucking geckos. I can watch the chat and talk shit at the same time. So one eye on one thing, one eye on another.
Okay, Nancy. Okay. I'm sorry then. Okay. I just don't want nobody blocked in my chat room, because like I said, this is an open chat room. As long as everybody just be nice to one another and be sweet to one another, y'all can do whatever you want. But the two things I want is to be nice to one another and be sweet to one another. That's, my chat room is really easy. It's wide open, but don't be blocking people on my chat room. That's all I want to say. Okay.
Hey, somebody I put in the chat earlier, and so if they are wanting to send you, some support, if they don't have the Cash App, do you have a PayPal or anything else that they can, if they're from the Canada region?
No, Ruben, I don't know how to set up a PayPal account. You know,
I mean, I have one, but I don't know if I want to get in the middle of that, you know, because I did set one up for the new gym. I don't know if I want to get in the middle of that. You sent it to me, I sent it to you. We fucking go to do the merry-go-round and shit like that. You didn't send it to him.
Mr.
It's not
X, are
that
they
hard.
easy
well,
to
you
set
know,
up?
on your Cash App, on Cash App, if you know, it's just like on your Cash App. If you want to send a Cash App, you just put your credit or your bank card.
Yeah,
number
but
in there.
they're in Canada. I don't think they have Cash App.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
they
in
don't have
Canada,
Cash
they're
App?
in Australia, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, to the
So-
Australian fans, you know what I mean? Like, you know.
Canada doesn't have Cash App. I think just me saying that, but it is what it is. Well, you'll get one, and then when you get one, you know, then you'll add that. Just like I'm just adding that now. You know, people have been asking me that. Fucking, what was the other one they were asking for? Bitcoin. I'm like,
Yeah, Bitcoin.
I mean, okay. I mean, sure, but I it's not something we ever did.
You know, Mr. X, I lost my ass in Bitcoin all last
Did
year.
you?
I probably lost 70 grand.
Fuck.
Yeah, I took some big hits in that bullshit crypto, man. Almost as bad as what my ex-wife got me for.
Oh my god, I feel so it's sickening. Dude, I remember that King Samoan when that
No,
shit
I don't
was,
have
like,
them over there.
was $8, and I had a buddy of mine's like, dude, get on this, and I was like, well, I do see it at a casino. I might have told the story before. I'm not trying to say it again. And if I don't know if I did or not, but there was a casino downtown on Fremont Street. This is in Vegas. It's called the Golden Gate. It's one of the older casinos there. It's a shithole, but they actually do serve shrimp cocktails still, so that's good. But anyway, it said cash your Cash App here, and this is like maybe 6 months after it started. Not Cash App, I'm sorry, Bitcoin. And I was like, maybe this is legit because you can get it at this shitty casino. It's just an old casino. I guess it's not shitty. They redid it. But so that's when and dude's like, why don't you just put like $100 in it? And I was like, I don't know if I want to piss away $100 on this bullshit, you know, crypto thing that drug dealers were using back then. You know, this is like right when it started, and I'd have had 10 of them. So this guy got 10 of them, 10 Bitcoins, I guess. You know, he put $100 in at $8. So and he had it in some wallet. And he, you know, like on a flash drive, fucking lost it. Can't find it.
Damn.
And I was like, dude, I will come to your house. And I think he might have pissed it away on weed or bitches. He was into the China massage, you know. So, I mean, he might have done something stupid with it before it got too high. This is a guy who lives up in Yucca Valley. But, you know, he was all into going down to the Palm Springs and having a good time. So maybe he just, you know, didn't quote unquote lose it. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, he lost it.
He lost it another way. Yeah.
I had a guy similar, actually, Mr. X. I was working in Vegas at a call center, same place I met my wife at, actually. And,
Okay.
you know, in a call center, you got hundreds of people in there bullshitting on the phones. And on your off time, I met one of the dudes there, and we were into gaming, on computer gaming.
Yeah.
So me and him became really good friends, computer gaming, playing World of Warcraft, actually. And he was really big into the Bitcoin thing at the time. And this was earlier 2000-ish, so 2003, 4, somewhere in there. So it was still super cheap. And he was actually mining Bitcoin. He had a bunch of computer CPUs in his basement. I don't know how they do all that shit, but he was mining them like crazy. And I became one of his really good buddies. And he would always try and give me all these Bitcoins. And at the time, you know, like you, they were only worth a couple of bucks. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do with this? This doesn't mean
You couldn't even buy anything with it.
Right. At that point, you
anything.
couldn't. It was pretty much just you know, your buddy has some or somebody you know has some. It wasn't like it is now. And I did the same thing. I never took any of them. And he offered so many of them to me. You know, here I am years later thinking, damn, I'm a dumbass. I could have been a millionaire from Bitcoin for no reason. And
But here's the thing, though. Like, I mean, I had some Bitcoin, and I mean, it's easy to say that when it goes up to the fucking 65,000 or it splits or whatever. But when I was leaving New Orleans, once again, I think this is right before the split. I might have been up to like 800, and that's when I got out. But that seemed like a lot of money coming from about $200 or $300. I mean, it's in tens of thousands now. So by it going up, from 200 or 300 to 800, that seemed like a lot. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to cash everything out because I wanted to have as much money as possible to come back here. I didn't want to fucking get fucked. I want to have every penny on me. And I shouldn't have done it. I fucked up. But it is what it is. I had I think I had one. Like up, like you can have like 0.7 Bitcoin,
Right,
or you can have 0.23, or
Yeah.
Hey guys, can y'all
go ahead.
Can you guys go and you guys hang up for a minute? I got to go to the bathroom.
All right.
Thank you.
Mr.
Yeah,
X, I was going to ask you, who's your top 3 favorite wrestlers?
So, am I like my personal favorite, or who I think is the best? Like the
your
best
personal favorites.
Okay, so number 1's Ric Flair, all time is my personal favorite as a wrestler. I think he's the best overall wrestler ever, because he's probably the last touring NWA champion. I mean, it's legitimate. Not the bullshit that happened afterwards. Obviously, one of the best promos, and the guy has some personal problems, obviously, but overall, in the longevity, the moments, it's definitely Ric Flair, number 1. Number 2, man, that's a tough. I mean, so Ric Flair is far and away number 1, without question. But I mean, I grew up in the 1980s, so Hulk Hogan's going to be up there. Now that's going to be a number 2 because I mean, these are the obvious picks.
Right.
And
True.
number 3, because, Hulk Hogan is, the A and B to this. Hulk Hogan's the biggest star ever, but he's not the best wrestler ever. He's the best character ever. And then number 3 is, obviously with you guys have seen the They Live movie poster that I have. It is Roddy Piper, who is kind of a combination of both of those. He was not only a great talker and had the longevity, but he's a big star too. Maybe not as big as Hulk Hogan, but I think the single best until The Rock came out, and I like The Rock too, the single best wrestler movie that ever came out where a wrestler is a star of it until The Rock got big is They Live.
Absolutely.
That's my favorite movie.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Yep.
So why?
They have the longest fight scene in that movie. Right?
Yeah, that's a movie directed by John Carpenter.
Right.
And that fight scene that you're talking about between him and Keith David that they've parodied on a bunch happened in they shot that in downtown LA. And man, those guys really went at it. If you watch that scene back, I mean, they're pretty much beating the shit out of each other, everything but the face.
Right.
So, and Nance also mentioned Shawn Michaels. I mean, if you're going to go with an in-ring performer, like the best quote unquote performance, like he kind of takes it one step further than Ric Flair, and he's got a great promo. But I love the attitude of the bad attitude of the 90s Shawn Michaels. I agree with that too, but he's not my favorite.
But I think a lot of those guys took that flow that
from
Ric Flair has. Right. Yeah, exactly. He was the original, even crossing into MMA, you got guys like Chael Sonnen. He's a Ric Flair right out of the handbook for Ric Flair, how he does his stuff. He's another character, but I was more into Stone Cold.
Stone Cold legit,
that whole area.
I like Triple H.
Wolfpack. NWO, the Wolfpack. You got to go with
of course,
Hogan, Blair, obviously.
Right.
But Kevin Nash, some of those guys, I was big into that stuff.
Yeah, I like all. Kevin Nash actually got a really good podcast that I was listening to. He just popped up. His son just passed away recently, but I've loved wrestling. If you look at the, you guys would probably laugh at me, but if you look at the Jim Terry TV intro, I kind of model it after the 1997 Raw's War intro. I mean, if you look at, there's some similarities to it. And at first I was like, oh, I came up with these kind of cool ideas. And I'm like, you know what? The fucking Raw 1997 intro is like the same thing. From the music having the song, like the lyrics in it, to it going to instrumental, to it having the siren. And I was like, I was watching it back and I was like, it's the same kind of attitude. It's like, I didn't realize I was doing it when I was doing it, but it actually had that big of an impact on me. So yeah, there's no question about that. And I asked Jim about DDP. That guy's a fucking dickhead.
I can see him being a dick in real life, honestly. I believe that.
Diamond Dallas Page.
Yeah, Diamond Dallas Page. Jim's dealt with Jake Roberts and Diamond Dallas Page. Jim dealt with the missing person thing with Jake Roberts and all that thing with his sister and his sister allegedly being dead and all that stuff. Jim's told the story about that before.
Yeah, is that right?
You know who you're forgetting is Hacksaw Jim Duggan too.
You just stole it out of my mouth. I was wondering who that guy was. He
was just on Fox News not too long ago. He took down some intruder or something. He's still in great shape, that guy. He beat cancer, too.
Jesse Ventura.
So
How about Jesse Ventura?
Yeah, he's a governor.
My
He's a
favorite
governor.
politician. I mean, if there is
That too.
a person out there that is the closest politically to me, has nothing to do with wrestling, it would be that guy. And I know the conspiracy theories and the bullshit, but a guy who was a mayor and a governor and not a Republican or a Democrat, what the fuck? I talked to Gina from Minnesota about that because he's from Minnesota. But man, I really like that. And you know, how can you go wrong with the best action sci-fi movie ever, Predator? Right. I mean, tell me a better action sci-fi monster movie, you know, that exists. I don't know of it.
Hey, Mr. X, you know, I was telling King Samoan, and I think I was telling Ruben that I wanted to have what do you think about having a contest of people getting a thing of Cool Whip, okay, a big old bowl of Cool Whip, right?
Yeah.
Big old bowl of Cool Whip, and you have two girls go at it. And because the Cool Whip's going to go all over you, you know what I mean? You have to eat it with your hands, so then it's going to go in between your fingers. And it's going to go all down. You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't you think that'd be pretty cool? A Cool Whip.
I don't know. I mean, if they lose, they got to shave their head? I mean, what's the payoff? I mean, I understand the match, but
well, I'm not that cruel. So
yeah, that's Jim. Yeah, here's what I was pitching about. I mean, it's not a bad idea. Here's what I was pitching to Jim about you today, Gay Sloth. So this is what I want to do. Speaking of pro wrestling, I always get these ideas when I'm in the shower. I don't know why. I've talked about this all the time. And this isn't anything weird. It's just nobody's around me, so I can think about things clearly. So next time you do the butter stick challenge, if you decide to do it again, I want to have a tail of the tape where I get a picture of you and I get a picture of whoever goes against you, profile shot, and we're going to go down like when Andre and Hogan went down and in WrestleMania 3, and they said the tail of the tape. I want a waist size. I want a height, former champion, challenger, and then we'll put up the graphic. And then I will go, and I don't know if she's here or not, but I will go to Betty Hayward because she records all the shows. And I want her to record it in 48 frames per second, which is, slow motion, 2-to-1. And she records it in 48 frames per second as you guys are doing it. Send it to me. I'll put it up in the StreamYard, and then we'll have a replay like the fucking horses that go past the finish line. We need a slow motion version of it. Okay, so these came to me to expand the idea that was already there. We need a tail of the tape because, if the stick, like a Tyson fight, if it lasts 60 seconds and everybody's paying $65 to watch, you got to have a lot before and after. Hopefully he's going to bite somebody's fucking ear off, So this is what we're talking about. We need a tail of the tape, a breakdown of, your past, maybe a little promo, you at the beach, whatever it might be. Then, bang, we go right in after the event into the slow motion. I think that's how we expand the idea.
Well, right. And, Stiffy's boyfriend just can't come and challenge me just like one-on-one right now. He has to bring something to y'all's plate. Like, and you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what Jim has in mind for him, but he needs to do something just like Mike did. You know what I mean? Mike came in and he beat my record, and then we went on one-on-one.
Well, you can always
Mike can re-challenge me in any given second now. You know that, right? Because he
can. Sure. Speaking of wrestling, how about this? And we're going to go into garbage wrestling. This is what I've said. This is my pitch. I mean, you can decide to accept the pitch or not. I mean, so can Jim. I think Just Mike or that guy from the UK takes his shirt off, okay? And somebody walks up behind him and he hits him with a fucking long light pole, one of those light bulbs, one of the long ones, and over the back. Because you see in that garbage wrestling, they put people through light bulb poles all the time.
Yeah, they do.
They headbutt each other. So if you take one and me, you just hit him as hard as you can in the back one time. Now he's qualified. I think that, to me, that's fair. I mean, these guys, there were some guys on the internet that Jim and I tried to contact, and we could never get it done, where they were headbutting each other, and we wanted them to have a match. Jim was going to do play-by-play. I was going to do color, and we were going to go through the matches. These guys were beating the shit out of each other with light poles, light bulb holes, and going through tables and all in their backyard. But they just, they'd rather do it in their backyard in front of nobody than have an audience. Their minds were small.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then this guy, he's had this channel, and then like I think a month or so later, I was like, Jim, let me go check these guys out, see if they're still doing it. I'm gonna follow up with them. And the guy he's like, okay, so we're not doing wrestling anymore. My YouTube channel's about vending machines. So get the fuck out of here.
The hell.
So I went on his channel like people do to ours. I said, here's why I'm unsubscribing. I've been with you since day one. You suck. You know, fuck you. Fuck your vending machines. This guy's ruining your show. Fuckers.
Yeah, that's a weird switch. You go from outside amateur wrestling, beating the hell out of each other, to vending machines.
Yeah, well, me and my wife are getting into vending machines. Yeah, if somebody throws your head through the fucking vending machine, I'll watch. What are we talking about here? Ridiculous. Anyway,
A Golden Eagle said like street outlaws.
yeah.
That was a good show
Golden
at first,
Eagle.
but it became too Hollywood, man. Now it's all set up, and it's not outlaw anymore. I don't know if it ever was, but I'm not into the Hollywood stuff, Mr. X. But was that
You
all
talking
set
about the
up in the
WWE stuff
beginning?
now?
Yeah, the street outlaw shows. It looks like it's pretty Hollywood now.
Well, I mean, it's just so. This is what I always say relating. I mean, there's a lot that could be learned from Barnum and Bailey. There's a lot that could be learned from Vince McMahon and promotions, and obviously Howard Stern. These guys are the legends in this kind of stuff. I mean, look at Howard Stern and the quote unquote funerals that he would hold when he would go into a new venue and then beat people, and he would hold a funeral for them. Sounds a lot like a graveyard and a burial. I mean, where did I get the idea? So
Right.
These ideas are out there, and if you kind of watch these legends, but here's the thing. These legends understand that the best entertainment, and sometimes, is real, is when anything can happen. We went in last night's show with the idea of just talking only about sloth and, what's this record? Okay. And then it turned into something different. Now, I mean, that wasn't like, how could we entertain you with sloth's background? The thing is, it's organic. It was real. And if anything can happen, that's what people like. So if somebody gets on there and talks about the fucking grain shed 5, 6, 7 times, or they're just yentaing up like Belle Aviv, what do you got there? Nothing.
Right.
So that's the problem.
They have zero content.
Yeah, they
Nothing
don't
to
have
talk
anything.
about. Right.
And Jim's really good at getting people to do something. I mean, he got Shaq Lady. Like, that was very organic to get Shaq Lady and that Ty Corbin's sister-in-law on at the same time. I thought they were the same person. I said they were the same person too. I just shut up.
I thought
I didn't want to be called wrong.
Well, I was there with you.
I was like, I'm going to shut up here and let Jim just orchestrate this. So, I mean, sometimes, but yeah, you're right. Right, Johnny, that somebody needs to do something to qualify or to become the number one contender. I mean, like, you got to go through 30 other men to, win the Royal Rumble to get a chance at WrestleMania. So they got to do something, maybe a lash of one belt, something.
Yeah.
I like I was saying, or even what's that stuff that's in a can? It's called Cool Whip, right?
Yeah.
But you also got it in. You also got it in a bowl too. I wonder if you did it out of a can, how would that feel about to do something like that out of the can? You know what I mean?
The only thing that I would worry about that is the whip it thing, and then somebody saying, "Hey," because us, they'd be like, "Oh, these guys are trying to get people high on their shit." They would just look, even though Jim and I don't do drugs, we don't drink, we don't smoke. They would say that, So it's like that's one thing. In Cool Whip tastes good. Nobody fucking eats a whole stick of butter. I mean, I think you're the first person that I've ever met in my life that's ever ate 2 sticks of butter full. So, I mean, that's kind of rare. Now everybody likes honey, but go bite into a fucking beehive. That's right. Interesting to me. Now
I'm going to be getting ready to eat a third one.
Yeah.
You know what? And I'm going to win that. I'm going to win that contest too.
And there needs to be some kind of a stipulation, just like wrestling. You lose, just Mike, he shaved his head. That was a great moment. It was a great clip to cut off of for Betty Hayward. So, I mean, that's what you need. You need to have, if you lose, not you, but the person, they need to lose something. It may be something as one eyebrow. I mean, it doesn't have to be money or anything.
That's a good idea. Also, Mr. X, twin mama, big hunky mama says, "What about a tub of butter? What about a tub of butter?" That would be the shit right there, dude.
Yeah,
Ugh.
for somebody, literally.
Our
Yeah.
sriracha mayo
thanks.
eating contest. Our
Oh,
sriracha,
God.
our sriracha mayo eating contest.
Yeah, and somebody mentioned Tingle Boss mentioned peanut butter, but that's the thing. I mean, like peanut butter, it tastes good, and butter tastes good with when it's melted and on lobster. But a stick of butter, I mean, it's like gross. That's why peanut butter isn't that big a deal. Now, if you put that peanut butter between somebody's ass cheeks and they're eating it, you got me interested, kind of. Not really. You know what I mean. If it's Nance's ass cheeks, I'm interested.
Hey, Gina Egg says, Johnny Yarbrough, create a Carney game. They have to win to challenge you.
I'll tell you one thing though, Mr. X, you got a lot of your haters out there that say, oh, all they do is exploit people and do this to them and do that to them. But honestly, I think it's great entertainment for one. And it's not like anybody's forcing these fucking people to do it. You know what I mean? And obviously they want their 5 minutes of fame, whether it's on YouTube or wherever it may be. I think it's all in fun, and I think it's worth $6.99 any day of the week, personally.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, and I agree. Like, people were saying that about Michelle. I mean, she also like these Jim and Jim doesn't talk about when he gives, but and he does, but Jim and these other people contributed and like turned on her lights a couple times. The only reason that Salty Pancakes knows who she is because of Jim. So it's like, just by the association and the stuff, it's like, so you can make fun of her by saying suck it or this or that. It's like, but she's part of it, just like somebody would make fun of me. No, none of these people who have come on, who have done any of these little like goofy challenges, have a hate Reddit. So
true.
I do.
Well, the one thing though, Mr. X, when you got a hate Reddit, you're doing something right. I'll tell you that. Well,
eventually the hate Reddit they took down because they couldn't find an arrest. They couldn't say anything bad. They said that the book that somebody wrote was about Dylan Rounds, even though the book came out April 4th and, Dylan Rounds went missing in May and the book was copyrighted on the 1st of the year. I mean, unless somebody's got a fucking time machine, that's not how that works. So there's just a lot of even after tonight, you guys heard it with Shaq Lady and Ty Corbin's sister-in-law, Girl Ryan, I mean, they were literally like on the phone and side by side, was still confused.
Right.
That's what we're dealing with here. And she's not a dumb lady. I mean, she's got some stuff going on, probably personally, like a lot of people do, but like she was still swearing she saw a fucking alien. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Well, and like I said earlier, I thought it was the same lady. I really did. I
did too.
I didn't realize it was a different person. It really did look just like her. But
I
once
go
you
over
heard the voice is what, you can tell it's a totally separate person.
Yeah, it's definitely. And, different cadence, different part of the country.
Right.
Mr. X, I'll tell you why. Want me to tell you why I did the butter challenge? Want me to tell you why?
Yeah, why is that?
Because, I used to like doing contests like that before. When I was, when the fair had all these different contests, like who could eat the most hot dogs, who could eat the most pies, who could eat the most of this and most of that. When you go to a little county fair and they're doing this little thing, or who can take the most pie slaps? You know what the pie slap means, right? You put your head in a little hole and you let people throw pies at your face all day long. Boom.
I like that.
Boom, boom. And you know what? And I did that. So I don't mind eating the butter. Even though the butter it tastes nasty, all you got to do is hold your breath and just start eating it real quick and you're done with it. You know what I mean?
That's it. Here's an idea for you, because I mean, this is kind of a carny thing. What you do is you get some darts, okay? And you put some balloons on somebody's back. And then to get into it, they got to throw the darts on somebody's back and fucking pop the balloons. I think that's fair. That'd be a hell of a game. I mean, Stiffy could do that with her husband. She just got to get one balloon popped in order to qualify. To me, that's fun. I mean, I might be crazy.
One balloon to qualify, huh?
Yeah, one balloon. I mean, it's going to stick in his back. So what? I mean, I see the reason I'm thinking about that is I see those arrows behind Ruben Sanchez, and I'm like, okay, well, you can't shoot an arrow at somebody, but maybe
yeah, you can.
yeah, you can, right? Yeah, actually, well, not for this, but you know what I mean. See, Dana Nicole says, how about a Family Feud game? But here's the thing: when it's, and I know this is crazy, when it's a little bit humiliating, that's where it gets entertaining. Like squeezing a watermelon between your legs when you're a woman is not something you want to tell your fucking grandkids about. So, there's something about that kind of carniness aspect to it that makes it interesting. And I think the aspect of it, look at it like this. You know the guy sloth that sits there, he's usually dressed up in a clown thing, and you got to throw the ball and dunk him, and he's shit talking you. Well, the whole thing is that you're going to humiliate this guy and put him in the water. You know what I mean? For shit talking, that's what your prize is. You don't get a fucking stuffed animal. Now, this is a little bit different because it's a challenge, but it's the same kind of like people like to spectate that kind of thing. That's at least what my research tells me from watching wrestling.
You know, back east, Mr. X talking about the clown dunk. It's called clown duck. This one clown, he was up in Bloomsburg, PA, and you know what? That fair right there, it rained every single day, and the people loved it. In the rain, they walked in Bloomsburg, PA. It rained, and everybody takes a week off of the school. Everybody takes a week off the school there, and they don't let the kids go to school for a week. And we were there for a week. Well, anyhow, I was on break. Okay, I went on a break, and I walked by the clown. He says, "Yeah, look at that carny right there. Look at that carny right there. He can't throw no balls. He can't duck me." So I got 7 balls for $10. Okay, I got 7 balls. On that 7th ball, I dunked that son of a bitch. Bam!
Good.
I dunked his ass, and he says, "Oh, that carny does got an arm." I say, "Look, I'll pay another $10, and I'll bet you I hit it on the 6th one." So I paid another $10, and I hit it on the 6th one and dunked him again.
There you go. I mean, the thing is, he's kind of winning too, though. You know what I mean? He's making the money, but I've seen one guy. Speaking of that thing, there's a guy that he's on YouTube, and he's one of those guys who are shit talkers, the clown guys. And this guy is fucking phenomenal at shit talking. I mean, I thought Jim was good at shit talking. This guy is like a beast at it. I would love to get that guy on Jim's show to talk to some of these fucking trolls. I don't know who that guy is, but if that guy's listening or anybody knows who he is, that's a guy you need to get. I would love to have that guy call salty pancakes for us. Well, I got that guy. That guy's name's Jim Terry. But I mean that guy, you know.
Hey, Mr. X.
And then says that. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Go ahead, King.
Oh, I was going to ask him, has Jim always been that quick-witted with shit? You know, because
yes.
not everybody can talk shit like that. You
yes,
know what I mean?
yes.
I wondered that. It's not something you usually, gain over years. Normally, you're usually born with it. You know, when you're younger, you're good at talking shit to everybody. You get older and smarter, and you just get better at talking shit, honestly.
No, he's always been phenomenal at it. Here's a. I don't know if I told you this story. I'll give you another quick Jim Terry story. Have I told you the Spanish story?
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so Jim's 2 years older than me. Obviously, we're in the same high school at the same time. The people that are my age are freshmen. The people that are Jim's age are juniors. So Jim is the one junior that is in a freshman Spanish class. Okay? Jim doesn't want to speak Spanish. He don't give a fuck. So all the guys who are freshmen are my friends. They're like, fucking Jim Terry is in this class. Okay? And he's shit talking, got around school. So what ends up happening is the lady asks him, this teacher asks him to start reading it in Spanish, like whatever the words are. They call him Diego. I had people come up and talk to me about this. This was like the talk of the school, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she, can you read this, Diego? Because I guess Diego means James or something in Spanish. I don't know. I didn't pass Spanish either. But you're in here with all these freshmen. You're an idiot. So he starts reading it, and he's like, they, ain. And she's like, what are you doing? It's in English. It's the and. What the? No, so read the Spanish. So he started reading the fucking English part like he was doing a Spanish accent. Okay, and she's like, that's it, you're out of here. So, and somehow, Jim, I don't know how he knows it. I don't even know what the word is. He knows the one word in Spanish that means cunt and calls her a cunt in front of everybody in the class, right? And that's all. And it doesn't sound like much, but like when you hear these different stories, people are 15 or 16, the balls to call a Spanish PT. I don't even know what the word is for cunt. Chocha or something like that. It was something like that. I don't know. But he said to fire that off And of course, some other probably choice words after that. I have seen him shit talk coaches. I've seen him shit talk other people. Everybody has always been saying sooner or later, somebody's going to kick his ass. I've heard that for 30 years, and it's never happened. Somebody's going to beat his ass sooner or later. Never happened. And typically, more times than not, I've never seen Jim get his ass kicked. I'm not saying he's tough, but and he's not going to go out of his way looking for a fight. But about that Gorilla Jack or a Salty Pancakes, if that either one of those, and Gorilla Jack's much older. Jim said this: if either one of those guys were in our high school at our age in the 1990s, they would have got their fucking ass kicked. They would have been the next guy that was the next Columbine motherfucker because they were too pussy to take a fucking punch. That's straight up. So I'm just telling you, that's how Jim is. So he's always been like that. In fact, we had a thing, and I'll tell you this last little bit. I'll tell you because you guys got me on a rant here. You know, most schools have a morning announcements. You just do the Pledge of Allegiance. You do a little bullshit or this and that. Well, the high school we went to had a thing that was television production. So at the end of the first period, you turn on the TV in each class. It's the rich high school. And it has a fucking television show, like a news show. Jim would always be on that show talking shit. Not even like a news segment or anything. I wish I could find these videos. But shit talking people. Running his mouth about people. You know, I'm shocked that there was no way that they would allow that now. But just a lot of shit. I mean, and that was on TV. That's how everybody gets to know him. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, well, I could do this if I can edit. You know, because I'm a little bit more shy. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not, but I'm not shy now. But I was then. But if I can edit so that I'm the reverse of that, then I could produce it. I think I could produce Jim. But then I can also do what Jim does too. But just he does it in a different way. So there's your answer, I think. A long-winded. Yes, he's always been like that.
That's interesting.
Hey, Mr. Rhodes, I want to read something to you real quick. It says in the chat room, Nance says, at Johnny, what if we do a virtual game night, Cards Against Humanity, or what do you what do you Mimi or something?
It's meme, similar. Johnny. Mimi in Samoan means pussy.
oh. Well, I don't know nothing about all that, but
yeah, we like that over here, Johnny. I don't know about you, but I think the rest of the panel is okay with that. Listen, Johnny, now here's what we need to do. We need to get the Jim Terry TV running, okay? JimTerryTV.com needs to run. And what you guys don't know, or maybe you do, that there is with StreamYard, the $25 version, you can have what's called what's that called? I'm trying to think the name of it. Not focus groups, but when you seminars. You can invite 250 people to a quote unquote seminar, okay? Which means we would have to give you double opt-in access, like where we give you an email and then you'd have to okay it. So that way no trolls like a Salty Pancake degenerate. So that's part of StreamYard now. I don't know if you've seen the ads come up in the back where the lady was talking, kind of lesbian looking lady with short hair.
No, I didn't see that yet.
Okay. Well, I seen it and I read into it. So like you could put that to your website and then you could just 250 VIP plus members or just subscribers or whatever wanted to watch it. You have them opt into it. Now, Nance, we could probably play a little game of what I like to call strip poker. And anything goes on this because this is not on YouTube. It's wide open now. That is a game that could be for Jim Terry TV.
Motherfuckers be
so he'll be running it on his website then.
Running on his website, yeah. And I can tell you this, you guys, not you guys, but the haters, they better hope he never gets that website up. Because if I'm not a website guy, I'm more obviously the film stuff, but if I was a website guy and Jim had the ability of no filter, because, you know, obviously he's handcuffed a little bit because of the monetization with YouTube and he doesn't want to ruin a good thing and yada, yada. If that was completely unfiltered, probably wouldn't be a good. I mean, you can only imagine.
But anybody who can sell a $10 T-shirt for $430, man, they got to skill. No joke.
That's why that one, that guy, the sports gambling guy, wants to talk to us. You know,
I know that guy, by the way.
You know him personally?
I've met him before in Vegas.
Is he legit?
I know I have. And yeah, he is legit. He really is. Him and his, I don't know who he still works for or not, but yeah, they're all into, they do it for money.
Yeah, I mean, well, they sell sports and information.
Right,
I mean,
yes.
it's not like
Yeah,
it's a
pretty much.
secret or
There's
anything.
a lot of people that do that shit, but yes, him and his crew there. I don't know if he's still with the same crew.
Well,
but,
I guess he's working on something with his son. I don't know if I'm supposed to say it or not, but he's doing something with his son that's supposed to be a kind of a new thing, a new way of doing it. I mean, back in the day, it was 900 numbers, and it's changed over the years. By the way, we used to bring a phone with us everywhere we went, Jim and I. And you never know if there was a party. I used to have this old fucking Star Wars phone. Chances are I was plugging in and calling a 900 number at your fucking house. I'd be calling 1-900-93 Duffy for $100 and listening to the picks on tomorrow's NBA games. But that was a real bad problem in the 90s. See, a lot of kids, you were getting in trouble doing whatever you were doing, and we were calling 1-900 numbers at people's houses during parties. So that was our trouble. But yeah, I mean, that's something I think that we could really do good on or do well on. But this audience doesn't give a fuck about that.
Right.
They just don't care. I mean, there's dudes that care about sports and gambling and, Tennessee Gambler and all that. But for the most part, they don't care. Now, if you had a 1-900 number about Dylan Rounds, they would call,
Yeah.
But that's kind of what this YouTube thing is anyway.
Well, and I like how Jim doesn't just, milk Dylan Rounds. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he was a part of that whole thing, and he still talks about it when people bring it up, but that's not his main focus. Like a lot of these other YouTube channels, that's all they got. You know what I mean? If there's no information, they'll make up something just to get the word out and just to get the views and the clicks. Jim doesn't have to focus on that. He can, he can bullshit on any subject, and it's obvious that he can.
He's great at doing it. And I can tell you that one thing Jim has succeeded on in the Dylan Rounds thing is he has able, and I don't know if this is on purpose or by accident or if it just really exists. That town of Montello has now turned into Fargo. There are so many fucking characters there that you could write a script and cast Ty Corbin. You could cast Phyllis. You could cast Ron Tello. Like that could be a fucking Fargo, Breaking Bad type thing where you know all the characters. You know what they would do. You know what they would say. And if it was, you know what Candace Cooley is. I mean, there's not too many. Like we kind of know what's his name is, Kurt Wadsworth. I mean, I'm not even into the shit, and I know all these fucking people.
Right.
I feel like I know them. Weird.
That Kurt dude is he don't have 20 wives, man. I don't give a fuck what that dude says in the Philippines. That dude is up to some,
Well, just because you send some money to a chick in the Philippines that you're talking to on the YouTube doesn't mean that she's a wife.
Right.
That means like every time I turn on the X videos, I got a new wife. I mean, what the fuck are we talking about here? It's ridiculous.
Well, and he says he says he's got all these wives and he's a polygamist and he's Mormon. And, I've had a lot of time with the polygamists, believe it or not. 6 of my ex-roommates are all ex-polygamists.
So how does that work?
They ran away from, most of them got kicked out of the polygamist cult, the FLDS church, which is, the
one they had the documentary on?
Yeah, Warren Jeffs. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that guy's a fucking creep.
So the guy that ratted on Warren Jeffs, his name's Lamar. Barlow. No, Barlow's his last name. Barlow's a big polygamous name. But his wife is the one that actually got the first conviction on Warren Jeffs, and they had to go into hiding. The God Squad out there actually went after him.
Well, I wonder if that's what happened with Jim, because he came so close to it with the LDS bullshit that you're talking about it in that area. I've never stepped foot in Utah. Robbie's talked about it. He's come from there, and we've heard some weird shit. I think that's why Jim's got, Salty Pancakes and Doug, and so they got a lot worse shit on him than Jim, but they make Jim seem like he's the fucking boogeyman.
Right.
It's just unbelievable. And they've done it to me and everybody else who's been associated too. So it's a little crazy, but walk me through this polygamist. I'm sorry, Slaughter, to fucking take over your show. How does this work? So, okay, let's just say I'm born into the Mormon thing. Okay, so I'm a Mormon, right?
Right. So
how do I get 4 wives?
The main Mormon church hasn't practiced polygamy for long time, forever.
Yeah, of course. It's not legal in the United States.
Right. So start
off by who made up Mormonism.
Correct. So they're an offshoot of main Mormonism. So they broke off because they believe that having many wives is is the way it's supposed to be.
Well, I
And,
actually believe that too. I just, in
yeah,
Southern California.
I
but
feel bad for the women though. A lot of people don't
Of
talk
course,
about it.
yes.
I know there's shows on it and out there, but I saw it firsthand, like the guys I worked with, and not the ones I lived with, but I worked with a bunch of them in construction. And their wives would come show up and bring them lunch every day. And most of them had 3 or 4 wives, and they would always tell me about some of the secret shit inside their whole cult over there, because that's really all it is a cult.
Yeah,
But
of course.
they really don't know any better, from the time they're born to the time they're grown up. They're pretty much taught, that the women are obedient to the men. They never talk back. The church owns everything. Nobody owns anything out there other than the FLDS church. So all the houses, everything, all the businesses, none of those members own any of it.
What's the likelihood Salty Pancakes is LDS? I mean, he's got to be.
I don't know. He talks a lot of shit about the Mormon church. He might be LDS.
Daddy Mormon.
Right. And that's what I was telling these guys the other night about being in Samoan. A lot of them were Jack Mormons. They would be out gangbanging on Saturday and go to church on Sunday. And it was pretty common. I saw some crazy shit. I saw, drive-by shit like that. And then these guys would be
in
up
Utah?
in church. No, this was before I left.
Oh, I was going to say, I feel like I can go into Utah and Jim and I could take over that town like in 6 days.
No, you'd be surprised actually, Mr. X. Utah,
it seems soft up there.
No, the cartel has a pretty strong hold in Utah, believe it or not.
Okay, oh, fair enough.
The Hondurans and the Guatemalans run all the drugs for the cartels.
Really? So okay, well, I'm learning something here.
Yeah, I got a story for that one as well. I got hit by a cartel drug runner one time, Salt Lake, downtown, 400, what was it, 4th West, I believe it was, right in the ghetto. All it is Mexicans.
That's where Ty Corbin was at, State Street and 6th or something like that?
Yep. So all that whole side of the west side of Salt Lake downtown is bad. And I got hit there. The Mexican drug runner was high on meth, and he sideswiped another car trying to go around him. And I was parked in the corner because my brother lived down there. He liked to live in the ghetto. And he was down there. I was giving him a ride to work at 1 a.m. I got sitting there in the car waiting for him to give him a ride. And I look up, and then right when I look up, I get nailed by a car. So when the drug runner tried to go around the vehicle, he sideswiped him, clipped it, and it spun him around and flung him towards me. And I was parked on the opposite side. He nails me. And the Mexican dude, or Guatemalan, Honduran, one of those guys, he jumps out of the van he was driving, right? And he looks around, and I'm staring at him, and I don't know what the fuck's going on. He jumps out of the van, he looks around, and he just starts running down the road. What the fuck is this guy doing? Well, in that type of area, if you've ever been in the hood at night, there's a lot of activity. A lot of people are outside all the time, looking.
Yeah, I mean, I live in the hood. I mean, you know how rough life is.
Right. So a lot of them, whether they're doing the drug thing or, pulling a lick, looking for somebody to rob, there's always people out there. So as soon as he jumps out, starts running down the road, another guy grabs him and bear hugs him and holds him in the road. And he's like flopping and screaming, trying to get away. Eventually he gets off and he just runs. See you later. We never saw him again. So the neighbors call the police. It took them an hour, almost 2 hours to show up over there in the ghetto, right? By that time, everybody in the neighborhood, man, they had already gone through the van. Because they know what it is. You know what I mean? Nobody just jumps out the van and starts running like that unless you got something you don't want.
It just doesn't seem like. I mean, I guess shows maybe how little I know about. You sure you weren't in San Bernardino?
No.
Okay.
No. It's crazy like that.
I mean, I just don't. I guess I don't know that much about. When I think of Utah, I mean, this just shows how maybe the bubble that I live in. I think of Sundance. That's really what I know of it. I mean, I've never gone up there, never been to Sundance, like I always say, and then some of the guys that I've seen up there, like guys from that northeastern Nevada, like where Ty Corbin's at, like they're rougher guys. They're living out there in the elements, and they're kind of like minor type guys, you know what I mean? But there's just something about that Salt Lake. I mean, at least from me looking at it from a distance, like I said, never been there, where it's just like they seem a little softer. Because I see that guy, that Warren Jacks guy or Warren Jeffs. You ever met him, by the way? You ever meet him in person?
I have. I'm not going to say where I was at when I met him, but when I was younger, I worked at a place that him and about 15 of his wives would come in all the time and get stuff, because he would never do anything. He would walk around, and the women would do it all. They would carry all the shopping shit. They would do all that. And this was a construction store that I was at.
Okay, so is he like a beta dude, or is he real alpha? I mean, what's he like in is he like Chris Dix?
He's a really nerdy, soft-spoken. You wouldn't think he had over 100 wives. I'll tell you that.
So he's not like a Jim. He's more like a Chris Dix.
Yes, correct. Yeah, he's definitely a beta. But he took over his father. His father, Rulin Jeffs, actually ran their church before him, and he kind of positioned himself to become the prophet of their church. And at the end of the day, it's all about money over there. For the leaders, it's about being a chomo or a sexual predator towards young girls, because that is what most of those higher up members, pretty much all of them, have 13, 14-year-old wives. They won't admit it, but they do.
Now, let me ask you this, and I'm just trying to put myself in a scenario. It's going to sound funny or Jim, but I mean, I'm just like, you were there, I know. So like, let's just say, I know you in real life, and you're like X and Jim Terry in town, this and that, and we're in the same place this Warren Jeffs guy's at. Mm-hmm. And I know who he is. Like, I know of him, let's just say at the time. Like, I wouldn't have known who he is then, but I know who he is now. Let's just say I have the knowledge of who he is. He's a somebody. And I go up to him, I say, hey, man, why don't you give me 3 of those lovelies? Would anybody ever shit talk him? Like, not shit talk him, but say something to that extent to him? Like, hey, listen, and I'm not talking about, obviously, the underage stuff is sick, but like, right. He's got women that are in quote unquote wives that are 20 plus, 30 plus. Yes. Why don't you hook me up with like basically he's a pimp. What if somebody said something like that to his face? What would he do?
He wouldn't do anything. I guarantee he wouldn't do anything. They're not violent people when it comes to that. The only time that I saw that would get violent, like I said, is their God Squad. And these guys, they're like the diehard cult members. Like, they really will ride or die. And a lot of them are like that. Don't get me wrong. But when
if you shit talk them, they wouldn't do anything. Like, growing up in the 90s playing basketball, everybody's, shit talking each other on the court. I mean, anybody would say anything to anybody. If you knew of somebody in the community that, that was even in the clinker, you would say something as a joke, in Florida. Like, hey, I heard your dad did this, but let alone a guy that you're kind of hearing that has fucking 100 wives. Now, I know it's a different community and you probably wouldn't do that, but placing us into that community, obviously fish out of water scenario, you say, Jim, can you imagine if Jim was there and he don't give a fuck? I wouldn't either.
I was actually lucky enough to be invited in a few of the homes, because the way the polygamists work, they'll go outside of their sect or their cult to find women to marry. Mm-hmm. So I was actually able. I've been in one of Warren Jeffs' brothers' houses. I've been in quite a few of them. These aren't houses, man. These are fucking like 30-bedroom mansions. No joke. They are massive. It's like a compound inside a compound.
It's like what I'm saying to you would be like if you were going to say that to Hugh Hefner. Like, if you were nice enough, if you were cool enough to, or I was cool enough to get invited to a party, that's not something you want to say to him because you're not coming back. Like, you could, and he'd laugh it off and pat you on the shoulder and say, yeah, we'll see what we can do. But that's it.
Right. Yeah, pretty much. Well, and he wouldn't do anything. He would send his minions more or less. Yep. That God Squad, I'm not kidding you. That's what they did. Anybody who would... Mafia. Yeah, pretty much. It's like a mafia inside their sect, and they believe they're doing right because the girls that run away, because a lot of the boys get kicked out because those older men that are in control, they don't want to have to deal with a bunch of these young dudes, better looking, in shape, more,
me,
just younger, all that. Yeah. So the only reason those boys are there, the younger ones, and I'm not kidding you, when I was running construction there in Vegas, the polygamists would come up and do a lot of framing jobs. They had a giant framing company that they owned out of Utah, southern Utah, Arizona border. What's that town called? Colorado City is where most of them are from. That's where Warren Jeffs was from. So they would come up from California, and the polygamist crew, they would outwork the Mexicans, and that's damn near impossible to do when it comes to construction work. And no offense, but the Mexicans were the hardest fucking workers out there. They really are. But those polygamists would come in, and they would come in with their entire family I'm talking anywhere from like 5 or 6 years old on up. These boys would be up on these trusses 15, 20 feet high, and they'd be running boards. Shit I wouldn't even do. You know what I mean? But these got like 5, 6-year-old kids, and that's why they got in trouble, actually. A bunch of child labor laws and shit. They got in deep shit for doing that. But those guys, man, they could put up a house in a day without a doubt.
So Colorado City, as you're going northeast on the 15th, heading up there, you dip through Arizona for a second, and then it goes into, I think that's Utah, but it's on the Utah side, correct?
It's on both sides.
It's on both sides, okay? Because I'm looking at it on a map.
They got the sect on both sides of the Utah-Arizona border. So, and that's how a lot of them get away with
You're right.
You know, if they're in trouble in Utah, they'll just go right across the street to the Arizona side. And a lot of them got in trouble for collecting welfare like that, where they were in one state, in like Utah, collect their welfare check, and then they would get another welfare check in Arizona because it's right there. So a lot of them got in trouble for stealing money from the government that way as well. You know, and you got to think these families got 40, 50 kids in them sometimes. They're massive.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So you
Fucking
can
free
imagine
money.
the amount of money they're getting.
Yeah, I'm paying for it.
Now,
Exactly.
don't
You
Mormons,
see those
don't Mormons own
Vegas films. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would say, don't Mormons own like a lot of Las Vegas, the property or the land?
The Mormons actually owned a lot of stuff in Utah, all over the world now. Actually, they own a ton of stuff. But yeah, they're pretty big, man. They really are. They own a lot of property. You know, they're it's interesting.
That what I was going to mention is, you see all those movies like Casino and all that. The Mormons in those films, obviously when the mob was quote unquote running it, they were trusting Mormons because they wouldn't fuck them on the money. Like
Right.
they were supposed to be more quote unquote trustworthy. So they were in charge of all the numbers. But when shit went down, since they weren't Italian, you just get rid. That's at least the way it was depicted in Casino. Because when they were like, oh, he's a good guy, we've known him forever. He's not Sicilian or he's not Italian. You know what I mean? Like then that's how they portrayed that. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I didn't know the construction aspect of it, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So, well, and that God Squad I was telling you about, they would go after the girls that ran away all over in different countries. Even a lot of them ran up to Canada, Mexico. They went to a whole bunch of different countries, and they would send those God Squad, and they knew when they saw those white Chevy pickups coming, that's who was after you, because they black out all their windows, right? And they normally drive white, either Chevy SUVs like the Suburban or Tahoe, or a white, Chevy pickups. And when you saw those vehicles going through town, you knew they were looking for somebody. You would never hear from that person again. That's the type of God Squad it was.
Yeah, they don't fuck. And I can tell you, Cowboy knows best in the chat. I mean, I've had experience. I do have experience with Scientologists, and I've talked about this on Jim's show a lot. And I don't know about Mormons other than just the recent stuff, but I can tell you this about the Scientologists. They're like in their look at that beast. It says hi. They're kind of in the Scientologists, at least the ones in Clearwater that I dealt with in the film industry. They're kind of like, you wouldn't know that they're Scientologists. I mean, they're probably a little weird, but like it's really within their own walls. They don't try to convert you. They don't say anything. If you ask them, be like, yeah, I mean, I follow that. It helps me. But they wouldn't, like, you would never know what's going on behind closed doors.
There you go.
You wouldn't even know.
There you go.
Well, and that's pretty much how those guys are the same way. You know, they don't let outsiders in. Like I said,
That was
6 of my roommates were ex-polygamists. They call them lost boys, when they leave or they get kicked out or exiled from their community. Yeah. So those lost, they get excommunicated. And I told you the reasons mainly why. Some of them leave on their own, but they don't care if the boys leave. It's not a big problem. It's just less competition for the older men. It's the girls that they go after, the young ones, and even the older ones, man. They're serious. They'll hunt them down. They'll put them in the vehicle and they'll drive them right back to that area and, more or less lock them down. It's insane, honestly, but they're serious about it. They don't know anything else. That's all they've been taught their whole life. In fact, they told me growing up, they would have to watch VHS videos growing up. The girls and the boys would watch VHS and DVD videos on how to act and how to be a wife, and more or less, they're brainwashed into believing it all. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they believe they used to, I don't know if they still do, but they used to believe that the color black and the color red are of the devil. You know, anybody with brown skin is a Lamanite and they've been cast by God to be bad people, you know, stuff. And they believe all that stuff still, you know.
Yep.
I was just lucky because I'm not as dark as a lot of the Islanders. I'm more like Ruben's color, more lighter on the lighter skin color.
Yeah.
So I would get along with them. Right?
Hey guys, hey, I'm not interrupting anything, but I just want to share something real quick. My cat was walking by and I picked her up and I wanted to show her to everybody, and I saw Mr. X says, "Oh, look at that beast." You know, Mr. X, Mr. X. Let me tell you something. She is getting. I weighed her like 3 days ago. She weighs 7 pounds, right? So I put her on the weight scale today. Now she's weighing at 10 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, because
they call my cat the Love Beast. That's where I get that
beast.
name from.
You know, the reason, and people in the chat are asking me why am I calling what I call bug for. Well, we had her outside, right? And then, you know, like there's flies that fly around, or there's butterflies that fly around, or any kind of bug that's outside. She chases it. And that's why I gave her the name Bug.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. It's cute.
And,
tell them how she did earlier, what you were telling me. You know what I mean? It was after yesterday or something like that when you were feeling down.
Oh, let me tell you something about her. So yesterday when I was feeling down, I guess she felt my pain, and she jumped in my lap and started making me pet her. And she took her head underneath my hand and forced me to start petting her. And then she looked at me with those little bright out little black eyes of hers. And she says, "It's going to be okay, Dad." You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I can really feel her telling me it's going to be okay. You know what I mean?
We got through it. Yeah. And I do see PZ's little article he sent over. I'm going to check it out. But yeah, I'm going to peace out of here too. Oh, Jim's in here. Oh, wow.
Yeah, Jim is in here.
Jim is in here. Yeah, Jim, you missed a conversation about what we were talking about you in high school. We were talking about John Z. DeLorean. We were talking about obviously pro wrestling and some other things like the LDS Church and Mormons and them building Vegas and all that kind of stuff. Yep. So,
Mr. X, does he have the link?
He in his own personal the one that ends with LIVE, he has it. Yes.
Okay, Jim, do you want to come up on the panel? If not, it's cool. You want to? I can send you another link if you want me to.
Yeah, Nance, when are you going to call? You're going to call in next? I don't think have we ever even spoke to Nance before?
She wants to call next. Come on, Nance. You can call. You can call in
Nance
right now.
is worried you got that call tracer thing on your phone, so she don't want to.
No, I don't have I don't have no tracer on my phone whatsoever.
I told
we're
her
not
that.
Salty Pancakes,
right?
Yeah, my name ain't Salty Pancakes
or Chris Dix.
Just get a trace buster. Trace buster.
Well, I didn't get no answer from Jim yet, but he's more than welcome to come up on the panel anytime, just like Mr. X. Oh, back to my quick story before we because we've been going on for an hour and 50 minutes now, and the reason why when I came to Orange County before I went and did the Pomona Fair, and I did the Orange County Fair for the very first time, and I said, you know what, I love Orange County. So I met so this is when I met my son's mom, and all that, and then I started, and then I left and went back working with the fair because I wasn't ready to settle down yet. You know what I mean?
You know, that's how it works. You got out there, you started working, you started making some money.
Right.
You know what? There used to be some bad broads out in Orange County.
Yeah. Well, you know what the thing is? I think they're all out in Antelope Valley now.
Yeah, this is right.
They're moving out there.
Mr. X, I was going to tell you how I was telling you guys the other night about Jimmy Superfly Snuka staying on my grandparents' couch. I was going to tell you I could probably get my uncle on your show next week to call in and talk to you guys about that, because that's the side of the family that had him sleeping on the couch, if you'd like me to.
I mean, that would be a question for Jim. I mean, I think he'd be definitely interested in it, but because obviously, Jim loved Jimmy Superfly Snuka. I mean, I liked him, but Snuka's a little bit older than, You know, I like some things that are a little, but he's like a little bit past me or a little bit older than me. But you know, the thing is with Snuka, you know, that whole you know, murder thing is really interesting. I mean, obviously the guy had a phenomenal career too. He was as big. People don't remember this. He was as big as Hogan. The reason he wasn't champion is because he had that murder thing, alleged murder.
Right.
He would have been champion if he wasn't. He was that over.
There you go, Nancy. There you go, Nancy. You can call in now. The number's up top.
The Diamond Dallas Page thing, you know, that you said Jim worked with him or some shit like that.
Jim talked to him. He's just really into himself. I'm talking about Diamond Dallas Page, not Jim. But yeah, Diamond Dallas Page is really, you know, they call him being a mark for his own gimmick. He's really into his self. But I mean, I guess I can understand a little bit why he is, because I've never seen a guy who started wrestling at age 36.
Right.
You know, and then became a champion. I mean, of course, he's great at schmoozing. He was always, you know, just he looked old right off the bat.
Right.
You know,
he still looks pretty much the same now, though, as when he was wrestling, doesn't he? A little grayer, but
he always had money because he owned all those bars, the Yucatan liquor stand down in Tampa. He owned a bunch of clubs and bars in the area where I grew up. So, and Jim too. So he was kind of known around that area. You know, and Hogan and all those people, you know, they all live down there. I mean, Tampa is like the Hollywood of pro wrestling. You know,
is that right?
You know, there's a lot of Samoans in Florida too, over there in the Orlando area. You know, I have a few cousins that actually are over there that I don't keep in touch with, but I know they're over there, and a lot of them work at the Universal Studios or whatever the hell's in Orlando. I don't know what it is.
Well, Disney, Universal,
all of that, right?
SeaWorld.
But I heard there's a lot of Islanders over there in that area, in Orlando area.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: you said it's your uncle that knew Snuka?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Was your uncle a worker? Was he a wrestler?
No.
He just knew him.
Yeah, you know, coming from Samoa, probably, especially because, like I said, this was in the '80s, so I was just a kid.
Right.
My guess.
Hey, we got a call coming in.
Okay. Well,
who is this? You go ahead, King Samoan. Who is this? You're live.
I'll wait for him to finish his story.
Go ahead and finish your story, she says.
No, I was just saying back in the 80s, you know, I was just a kid, so I don't remember it, but I remember them, my uncle and my other uncles telling me stories about it, that he used to sleep on the couch. And, you know, Samoa's not very big. So when you get an Islander that comes from the islands or is a big name like that, we're a lot like the Hispanics and all those cultures. Well, we bring any of our family and even extended family. You know,
sure.
If we got a bed that's open, you know, we'll have 15, 20 people in the house if we got to. So that's more or less probably what it was. But I'll have my uncle call in and verify it. And
talk to Jim about it. Yeah, because I mean, and I could talk to him too, because I'd definitely be interested. I mean, I don't know if he's been willing to talk about if he knew something about the murder. That would be really interesting.
Right,
but,
that would be interesting.
Who knows?
Right.
Who do we got here on the phone too, by the way? Is that Nance?
Who's calling?
I'm me, Terry.
Who?
I was going to try to pretend I was Nance, but it won't fly.
So is your name? What's your name? Dana.
Dana.
That's me.
Hey, Dana. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys? I've been sitting here all night, or off and on between tasks and talking to myself, but that's nothing normal. It's not.
Well, we got to have you on the show tonight. How you been?
I'm good. So first off, just to make this clear, I don't think I've ever made it clear out there in the Jim Terry world. Most of the time, you cannot take me seriously. I am serious a lot of times, but I like to joke. So if anybody is ever offended by anything I say, please just let me know. And I apologize ahead of time because I do get that sometimes.
You don't have to do a whole Christopher Dix thing. That's fine. I think people know you're joking.
Plus, you can't be mad at a lady that cruises the reindeer scooter around in San Bernardino in the hood.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I either get, they can laugh at me or they can shoot me. So, and a lot of times I don't even know what's going to come out of my mouth either. So
that's right.
So, second of all, I wanted to tell you, Johnny, you thanked us for listening to your story. I wanted to say thank you to you for allowing us to hear that, and for, telling us about it, and not just, shutting everything off and walking away, because that's easy to do too.
Right.
So
I totally agree.
And I think every single one of us has a story, and some people just aren't ready or brave enough to talk about it. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Very true. Well, a lot of people are scared, they don't, especially in this whole thing, because, you got the salty dude trying to dox anybody who says Jim and Mr. X's name.
Yep.
They got nothing better to do, honestly, is really how I see it. Me, myself, I'm not really scared of getting doxxed. The only reason I don't come up here with my picture is because I told my ex-wife that I wouldn't, just because I don't want to bring that drama into my real life, because I'll get real with it.
Yeah, my suggestion is,
and it's not worth it in the long run.
Yeah, it's not worth it. Here's how I'm going to tell you it's worth it. If there's two ways, or two or three ways. Number one, if you need to have a voice to respond. Because if somebody's going to call you, like, here's a quick King Samoa, I was on there, I was showing this girl, and I was like, hey, check out these openings that we shot. I want to show them to you. And I brought it up on a YouTube TV, the YouTube app on like a Roku. And it was the Mr. X2, Jim Terry TV 2, and then the show from last night. And then next to it was fucking Doug's fucking turtle dick. And it was like, is Jim a pedophile in 2023? I mean, that's what you're dealing with. I don't know if
there was nothing there to see, right?
Shit. Yeah.
They didn't hear you.
He's not.
Well, that is, shit like that is just.
And it's like here we do something cool, and his dickhead's out there. And so you coming on any of these shows, any one of you, are opening so that's number one, to have a voice. Number two, if you can make a few bucks, I mean, it's nice to be rewarded for time spent or time well spent. And then number three is if you just are having fun and enjoying it. So there you go.
Well, and I'll tell you what,
that sums it up as far as I'm concerned.
Right. And like I was telling Johnny earlier, I don't do any of this for money or fame or helping. I'm just helping Johnny out because he's the homie. I don't need the money. I sold, like I said, I sold one of my businesses last year. Speaking of that, it was a crane business. Speaking of cranes, but I had a few Peterbilt semis, 379 HDs.
Wow.
That I ran cranes, some JLG cranes on, 40, 50 ton cranes. But I'll tell you what, that's some good money.
You're talking about?
What's that?
Nothing. Sorry.
Oh. No, I was just saying one of the businesses that I had sold before I went on my trip was that. And, it's about $130 an hour for a crane. If anyone ever wants to rent one, and that time starts from the minute I get a call and get hired to the time I get my truck back to the yard. Yeah. And
that's just for the crane rental. Is that for the operator too, or gas, or is that everything?
No, that's just for the crane rental. That's not for the operator. The operator's usually between $30 and $50 an hour, depending on the operator.
Yep.
So,
I know how that works.
But it's good money.
Yep.
Sorry to get off topic.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's fine. But that's the thing. I mean, you're right, Dana, is the fact that, you're going to have the degenerates out there, come after you just because, you might want to laugh or you might want to hear a story. And that's why I think what Jim does differently than everything is it's not about fucking a grain shed continuously and Dylan rounds. We want to hear about that too. We're interested in that. But, there's other things to laugh about in a good time. And it's just like a high school. If one person's doing well, there's another hater, but they're behind a computer screen now. So all those pigs that are out there like a queen bee, they're a lot more boisterous than they were if they would have been in a high school with me and Jim in the 1990s. I guarantee you they wouldn't do that to us in person. Certainly wouldn't do it to Jim.
Right.
I might be a little bit more kind about it.
People's names, most of them are brought up. I have to actually go look at who they are because I have no idea. I don't, go to different channels. Some of them.
There's a whole web of losers. You're probably better off not wasting your time. If you're enjoying something, I wouldn't get into it.
Please, my time is precious these days. It just,
Of course.
Oh my God, I can finally call in.
Well, and I noticed, Jim and Mr. X here, they are counterpunchers. They tried to drop that whole salty thing a million fucking times now, And these guys, that dude over there, he just keeps poking and poking and poking and poking. Eventually, you poke the bear enough, man, they're going to come back at you. So,
and next thing you know, I'm out in the desert desecrating his grave. So,
Right.
I mean, we're like, this guy's gone out there and said things like, "Are they writing a script?" I remember he kept saying, "I think they're writing scripts." Okay, motherfucker, and then I'm going to write a script, and we're going to go out there, we're going to bring a crew, we're going to do it. See, here's
Ladies,
the thing.
smack
man.
it down.
Script when it's real.
Yeah, and it's kind of in jest to an extent, but to a lot of extent. But that guy, we knew what he was the moment he didn't show up for the Ty Corbin thing. And Ty Corbin's a 65-year-old man. He's got back problems. He's probably a tough guy, like we always talk about. But that's when we knew he was a bitch. And and King Samoan, basically broke this down. We know the ilk of the kind of white people that are up there in Utah. They're mostly bitches. Now, they might be tough guys behind the scenes, or they could show up in a pickup truck with blackout windows, but they're going to punch you in the face on a basketball court. That's not how it works.
Right. No.
And
not in his area.
The first real sign of Salty, it was the first time he ever said that word bitch.
Right.
To who?
Whoever it was, I can't remember. It was probably Ty Corbin, but
I listened to Salty for a little bit, but when he started going off on all these women that were, actually in his corner, and he started going all nutso, and you can tell he lacks education because he can't say anything other than swear word after swear word after swear word to these women.
Yep.
And I'm like, and that's kind of where I pretty much, this guy, I can handle him going after Ty Corbin and saying this and Lance and all those people. It doesn't involve me, so it doesn't bother me, but listening to him the way he degrades women like that just shows me he's a piece of shit, to be honest.
It sounds like that
Anybody
culture. I
who
mean,
talks
what
to
you
women
explained,
like that.
King Samoan, about this whole deal of the LDS culture, where if there's a younger man that comes in a situation, they chastise him. So why does Salty have all these women with disabilities and problems and women he could push around? Jim's a dick to everybody. Doesn't matter if they have a disability or not. So it's like, that's that kind of culture that you're explaining. What you were explaining to me the whole time, I was like, that's Salty Pancakes.
Right.
Warren Jeffs is like the Salty Pancakes. He wouldn't do anything to you in person. Right. It's a bitch.
And Ms. Vonda wrote, you're right, Mr. X. My Facebook was cloned, and remember, Miss T and I got flashed the other day.
Yep.
Why would somebody want to flash their dong on somebody? I don't think it's right to do that.
Attention. They
want to show their little pecker.
Well, if I had the link, I was going to show my dong tonight, but I didn't have the link.
Well, I can answer that question.
You want the link?
I'm kidding.
You want the link?
No.
I've seen it.
No.
Here's the answer to that question, because they call it porn bombing. If Jim is already the bad guy, and he's going to porn bomb somebody, I mean, it's not his dick. But then he's going to really be the bad guy. That's what we were talking about pro wrestling earlier. People don't really go bad guy or heel all the way. They kind of want to be the cool heel, like the NWO was in the 90s, where they're kind of cool bad guys. But if you're going to be a real bad guy, then go and fucking porn bomb somebody. Now, the other one that happened to Miss T, that was a pervert. Jim's kind of scenario is, look at me, I'm going to get some attention for my channel. Yeah. So Jim has done it too. Don't get me wrong. But he has done it in a different scenario to try to burn haters as a counterpunch. And as you're going to talk shit about me anyway, so I'm going to come over here and do this.
Right. He likes the shock of it. It brings people to his show. Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes the audience is only for me too. I mean, he's doing that to, he knows that I'm going to laugh at it.
That's where the conference rooms or whatever you were talking, the seminar comes in.
Seminar.
Yes.
Are you sure you don't want the link so we can see that again?
No.
Well, I mean, you can, but I'm just sitting in the garage so that I can get back on the mobile. Actually, I'm sitting.
I mean, I can explain it kind of. It's like Miss T's talking, and then it's like a guy sitting in a chair, and it's like his point of view. If he was like somebody was sitting in like a chair at a desk, and he looks down like in between his legs, and it's just like a short little pud. That's basically. It's not like it comes in across the screen and it's big. It's like he looks down. That's the footage you're talking about.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the one. That's the
Yeah,
one
I think
saw.
everybody's seen Doug Small Ding. I mean, we know that was Doug out there that night, probably drank or pilled up or something.
You know the funniest Doug video I
Hey,
ever
Dane, I'll
saw?
put the StreamYard in the link. I'll put the
The
StreamYard in
funniest
the chat
Doug
room.
video. I don't know who had it, but it was the one in his underwear. He was doing like some weird dance
You're more
around
than
his
welcome to
computer
come
and shit.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
I don't remember. One of these ladies
Like,
shared it. But
sorry.
that one was pretty damn funny.
I thought the best one was the one I spoofed when he. I mean, obviously my video wasn't the best. The real life one when he was crying outside that fucking hospital I went to. That's my favorite because that shows a bitch.
First Amendment auditor.
Hold on one second.
Damn.
I saw
That
that
shit
where
was
he was
hard.
crying for his dad or his brother. Or
Yeah,
uncle.
his dad, who, by the way,
Yeah.
lives in Arizona. But
Oh, Dad.
yeah, call dad.
Yeah. If his dad was LAPD, that motherfucker was Rampart Division. Racist, you know what I mean?
Well, he was. Don't forget, Ruben Sanchez. I don't know if he was LAPD. He was like that Simi Valley shit, that like the OJ shit out there, where all those fucking
There you
racists
go, it's in
were
the
of
chat
that
room.
era.
The link is.
You know, all those guys that were beating the shit out of people, then they go and live over in Simi Valley. They weren't living in the valley, San Fernando Valley. They were living in the white Simi Valley. That's why that shit happened.
Yep.
You know, I'll tell you a story. My dad, you know, I grew up. My dad was a cop. Like I told you, he was an undercover narcotics cop. And I was a kid, and my dad used to take us out to this farm in the middle of nowhere in California, right? And he would take us out there, and I was just a kid at the time, and he would take us out there, and he'd say, "Oh, this is just one of my buddies." And I found out later when I grew up, because I would always smell a weird smell, and I didn't know what pot smelled like at the time. You know, this was in the late 80s, mid to late 80s, so I didn't know what weed was. So that was, my dad was an undercover narcotics cop, so he actually had busted this guy, and he had a massive pot farm growing in his sheds out in his farm. And he actually ended up becoming my dad and all the cops' weed dealers the whole time he was in law enforcement. He would take me out there, and he would bring bags of weed home, you know. And at the time I didn't really know what it was, but I knew he'd go in the bathroom and he'd turn the shower on and sit in there for an hour or two, and he'd open the door and all the smoke would come out. You know, as I grew up older, I realized what it was, but yeah, he told me when I was an adult, that's what he was doing. Is
What was it? Utah? Was it LA? Southern California?
Yeah, this is in Southern California. I'm not going to say exactly because I don't want people to dox me. And, you know, people who go on some internet.
I mean,
shit
can you say what county it is?
Southern California, I'll say that. It's in the LA.
It's only like 3 counties. But
outside of the LA area. But yeah, my dad was a cop for 14 years. He was undercover. He was SWAT team. He did a whole bunch of shit like that. You know, I was a kid walking around. He used to let us wear his bulletproof vests around the house and shit.
Yeah, I got one right here.
Yeah, it's a good
I
thing.
legitimately do from a movie. But I can tell you this. I know a guy, you know, I was talking about Yucca Valley earlier, and going back to San Bernardino, which is the biggest county, as you know. And on the one that connects to Los Angeles to, you know, Vegas in the middle. Mm-hmm. His father was a fire chief, and he would tell some stories about people driving off the freeway and going so fast that they would just collide with a fucking car and just be smithereens and stuff like that. So these guys would see some hardcore shit. And I couldn't imagine what an undercover guy would see during like the era of the Night Stalker and shit like that. You know, I mean, this is in the 80s. Are you kidding me? This shit was wide open and fucking crazy back then. You know, there's no cameras around, not like today at least.
Right. No,
so
not like
that guy's got to be a brave dude.
Right. And he, you know, he would tell us some of the stories. You know, he would go undercover, and sometimes it'd be long, you know, like 6 months, a year, and they'd infiltrate different gangs or different bikers or, you know, whoever there's on their target at the time. And
it's definitely San Bernardino County.
He had gotten into some mafioso types, and there's some crazy shit, man. We had a pretty secretive life during that whole thing. I was just a kid, like I said, but we were
scary stuff. I thought about going into that. I mean, I don't know if you guys heard the story or not, but I played some football and some basketball, blew out my knee. It's pretty well documented. So I came out to Southern California and I got into the undercover stuff. I don't know if you guys ever heard the story, but I got a case. I got hooked up with this older guy, big teeth, and he said, "Hey, listen, we got some people robbing some banks. You should start to learn how to surf." So I started going out there and surfing every day, and we were chasing down these fucking bank robbers, wearing these masks like presidents. It's fucking this hot chick somewhere up in the Ventura, but yeah, I remember that really well. And then I got out of it and then started getting into entertainment.
Sorry, I have to take the dog out.
That's okay. Yeah, so
break. I don't know if I shared that story with you guys, but that was a part of my life when I was younger. Did some skydiving too.
That shit was tight.
We're at 2 hours and 10 minutes, Mr. X, and we got 61 in the chat room. We're getting those hours up there. Oh, and I want to share something with you, Mr. X. Whoever was watching their videos, watching my videos on playback, I just want to say thank you, because now I am up at 692 hours watch time right now.
Yep.
Nice.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I've been helping with that too, Johnny.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate an equalizer. If you're out there, thank you also, King Samoan, Dana, Nicole, and anybody else that's been doing it. Thank you so much. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying to get up there. 4,000 hours is a lot of hours to get, but we can do it. I'm gonna come on tomorrow, so for another probably another 2 hours, so I can get my watch hour times. And whoever wants to come on the channel and wants to watch the chat room, you guys are more than welcome to come by again, because I love having y'all here in the chat room. I'm not into the chat. I'm not into the chat tonight. We're still going to be talking a little bit more.
Well, I wanted to ask Mr. X about the whole movie thing, because I was the one who was telling you, Mr. X, that my ex-business partner was a screenwriter, and he would write these big screenplays, and then he would have me read them, just, and I didn't know what the fuck. I didn't even understand how to read that shit, because it's not like reading a book. It's like you got to follow along, and like different names and different. And I don't know if anybody's ever read a what do they call them? Screenplays?
Screenplay, yeah, screenplay, script.
So script, right? And he would have, and his was religious based, mainly Catholic.
I mean, those sell really well, so I'm not going to make. They're like the Lifetime Christmas movies, so they got their own niche. But yeah, it's definitely a different thing when you're doing a table read and you're reading that out loud. I mean, I've told you guys a story about the Ray Liotta table read where I did it, and I walked up to him afterwards and I met him and I said, "Man," he had a big beard, and I said, "Man, you're a really good actor. You got the hardest part in the movie. What's your name?" And he asked me my name. I said X, of course, and then he said, "My name's Ray." Went home that night and somebody posted online. It was like, "Hey, it was great to do a table read with Ray Liotta, nominate." I felt like a fucking asshole. I couldn't believe I was talking. I could spot celebrities from a mile away. And here I am talking to Ray Liotta. I didn't even know who he was. I've probably told that story before, but yeah, the scripts are a little weird if you've never done it. The Writers Guild is kind of their association, WGA, which is off of, I want to say Santa Monica Boulevard. Those are hard to sell. Scripts are tough to sell, but if you can get into it, you can make a really good living. But he was basically having you as like a proofreader.
Right. Well, and the weird thing is on his screenplays, they would be registered with, I don't know if it's like a publishing company or what.
Yeah, the Writers Guild, WGA.
Right. So is that what that is? So it would have like my name on it. This copy is for, and it would have my name and like a number.
Well, that's a watermark, but yes. Yeah. So,
okay. I didn't understand all that. He just had me do it just to look at it.
I don't know how many people. No, I think your connection. I don't know how many
see what I thought about it. Not that I'm some sort of movie critic or anything, but I read a few of his things, and that's what he was doing. He was trying to. His production company was trying to sell him to, I guess, major studios or any sort of Christian type studios.
Yeah.
So it was pretty interesting. I had never read any of those, but they were extremely hard to read just because it's so all over the place with different, I don't know what
Mr.
they call
X.
characters.
Mr. Yes. And King Simon, I'm not trying to cut you out. We still got our caller on the line.
Oh, I'm sorry. We started going. Dana, what's going on? Sorry about
Dana.
that.
I tried to get her a link up, and then she can't. I guess she can't come up because I got too many people up here right now.
What do you have, the free version?
No, I don't have the free version. I have the paid version.
No, dude, you should be able to do more than fuck. You should be able to do like 10.
Oh, 10? So where do I go to get her up here?
You go back into StreamYard and click the link and send her a link, and then she'll come up in the backstage.
Did you get the link, Dana?
Yeah, I got the link. Hold on, let me try on my computer.
Yeah, you can have 10. I think 12 if you have the $50 version, which Jim Terry TV now has. But you know,
wait, here we go.
click it.
Click it.
I'm gonna drop off for a little bit.
Are you
All right,
sure?
Ruben.
Yeah, I gotta stretch my legs.
You
Okay,
know,
Ruben,
Mr. X, that's one
Ruben,
thing I noticed with you and Jim Terry are you guys put a lot of the money that you guys do make right back into the show, you know, to make a better broadcast. And a lot of these guys don't do that. They take the money and they get the fuck out. They don't give a shit or
Well, I mean,
hire
and I'm
somebody on Fiverr. You know, you guys are doing like the real show.
Yeah, I mean, and here's what you guys don't know, and I don't want to sound like I like to peel the curtain back because I'm interested. I was starting to buy those graves and like that wick, that slow burning wick, like around Thanksgiving. When all that stuff was going on sale, like Black Friday, I was getting that shit then.
That's smart when it's all like 50
yes,
to
I was already like,
off,
I think I could do this. I have this idea, and I started buying the props slowly then.
Nice.
Like just building up the props over like about a month. So I was thinking about it for a long time, and then I was like, I got to do it right before the new year. So you're right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do I keep money of it? Sure. You know, I got a Cash App, I got a PayPal. You know,
Nothing wrong with that. You
Yeah,
guys
but
are
I
putting
mean-
in the work, you know what I mean? You might as well get paid. And you get a lot of these guys complaining, all they want is money. Yeah, if
I'm
you're
trying to get
putting
John
the
Day on my
work,
screen.
creating the content, I don't see a problem with people.
Well, I mean,
Get my screen up.
so when are we going to start saying
can't
that
do my
about the
screen
cast of Breaking Bad? Oh, those fuckers took all that money from the commercials from A&E. Oh, what a bunch of bastards. You know, that's all they're doing is taking money, you know, what's that one guy's name? Bryan Cranston, that bastard. He wants to just earn money, not knowing what Jim's done for Michelle or for other people, or, you know, it's just like, what? Because Salty's a good guy because he spent 3 years in prison and all of a sudden he gives away $50 every show.
Right.
And then
that's the thing. He has to do that. You
I'm
know,
trying to get Dana up. I
what
can't
else
get her
is
up.
he going to do? Because, you know, and like I said, I'm not trying to hate on the guy. I don't have any beef with anybody on YouTube, but I can see right through that type of guy.
Hey, we know that you guys can. And we just figure if we're honest, and you know, Jim told the other day, he said this shirt's about making me money. That's what Jim said. And I was like, Jim, you didn't even produce that shirt. I did.
Hey, Dana,
what are you talking about?
And if he's
Hey,
got
Mr. X,
skills
Mr.
to get
X.
people to do it, might as well.
Hey, real quick, guys. I see Dana's on in the bottom, but my screen, because I already got 1, 2, 3, 4 people, I can't bring her up because where it says mute and start cam in settings is like that's in the way of me of trying to get her up here on the panel.
Click her where it says, I don't see her because I don't see her backstage, but it should say like add, like bring her up. You should be able to bring her up.
I know I can't bring her up because I got that one thing blocking me. Oh, there she goes. There she goes.
We only got 3 of us here. Ruben,
you only have 3 of us.
All right, here we go. There she is.
She's in the house.
She's in the house. Hey, Dana.
Here I am.
Well, she's in the garage. One of the 2.
Might want to close your eyes now. I'm in the garage.
Hold on. Let me take this off. Let me take down my banner off.
Now, I got a question for you, Dana. This is something we've not talked about. I've been doing some research on Los Angeles recently because this came up in a subject. Are there basements in San Bernardino?
And then he said, you ain't recording the conversation. Now, obviously, he said,
turn down the radio in the background, or turn down the
Hold on, I'm trying.
I'm not going to yell at you like Jim, but come on, Dana.
No, I know, and I thought I had it off. Hold on, real quick.
Yeah, Cape Hog allegedly giving away $50 that buy 10 memberships. Sure, okay. Yeah, you're exactly right. You guys can see through that shit. I wouldn't even have to tell you that. You guys know.
Well, and you guys, like Mr. X, you and Jim had that opportunity to drop the money down and have
I told you
people
I was
buy
new
a
to
bunch
this.
of
Hold
memberships.
on.
You guys can see, you guys can go through, when Jim hits 6 months, and that's why we prove that on playboard.co, you can go and look what these people make. And that's part of the reason I think Salty's going away, is if he gets rid of his channel or he doesn't accept monetization anymore, he won't hit that playboard.co, because then you'd really see what he made or did not make. All right, Dana, what's going on?
I'm just not going to even pretend. Gimme.
Somebody's talking about me again.
I'm just here for me.
Talking about your Cash App card.
I guess she's watching the replay at the same time. Oh,
Yeah, she's like at the beginning of the show.
Yes,
yeah,
she
it
is.
should help me get those watch hour time. Now she just cut out. Oh, we lost her.
No, that's all right. She'll
I
be
don't
back.
know.
She's probably trying to turn off the background.
Yeah,
Yeah, turn that shit off.
it's just a YouTube. Just go mute YouTube.
Right. I don't even have.
Hey, and
YouTube
I want
on.
to say to Mr. X and King Simone, I didn't mean to interrupt you guys. You know,
No, that's it. I mean, it's your show.
Yeah, you're
well,
good.
I don't like to be rude, Mr. X. You know that.
I totally
Yeah.
forgot she was on the phone. To be honest, I was listening to Mr. X talk about that, and I totally spaced.
Yeah,
it.
I
Sorry.
forgot about her too. She needs to speak up. Damn it, get in there. Get aggressive.
Right, you can't be shy on here.
Yeah, that's how we do things around here. Maybe I should just take off, and then you guys can.
No, you're good.
Yeah, no, you're good. I enjoy speaking with you, honestly.
Yeah, I
love
appreciate it.
I love speaking to you too, Mr. X, and I love listening to King Samoan. You guys got beautiful stories, man. You know what? If you had more time, I'd like to hear some more stories. Because what I'm doing is I'm listening so I can get more ideas how to tell a story. I know I'm trying to learn how to tell stories for a period of long time. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm trying to do is like, okay, how to space it out, how to, you know what I mean? I don't know how good. Did I do good? Did I do really good last night? Last night when I was telling my story, Mr. X?
Yes,
Your
because
honest
you
opinion.
weren't thinking about it. You were just being yourself and you're interacting. It's like a phone call. You weren't trying to be a character or trying to be entertaining. You were walking us through a story. See, like when I kind of walked you guys in a ridiculous way through my quote unquote background of Point Break, I just imagine it in my head and you start going through different little scenes of the movie. But your movie's your real life. So you can really talk about these scenarios. Now, it helps when you have somebody asking you questions because you can pinpoint that. Now, Jim and I don't need that. We could just shit talk all day. But for a lot of people, they need that part. And King Samoan, you bring up a good point about reading out loud in a script. Scripts are very weird to read, and just in general, in reading things out loud. It's not something you typically do. It's why nobody wants to read out loud in school, for example. But these are all things you do, and you kind of just gain with more and more practice.
Right, the natural flow of the conversation, when you weren't trying to, like Mr. X said, trying to be funny or any of that, you just let it go naturally. A lot more people, I think, relate to that. I'm not a YouTube expert by any means, but I feel, the people can tell the difference between what's real and what's bullshit just to get people's sympathy or, get into people's emotion.
Cape Hog was talking about it, and it's always good to go to the chat, but I'm always watching that too. And, I think he mentions earlier that, that the gifts and the memberships with the salty and all that kind of stuff, that they just know that that's bullshit and they see right through it. And that's true. I mean, people are not dumb. I mean, we make fun of people saying they're dumb or this or that, but you could tell what's real and what's not real. And always the most organic thing that's happening is probably the most interesting, especially if you don't know it's going to happen. Right. That's the best. It's Pro Wrestling 101. What's going to happen tonight in this wrestling show? I don't know. Who's going to show up? Anybody. Right. Is Stone Cold coming back tonight? What's he going to do? What's going to happen next week? Now, that's a little bit more scripted, but when it's real life, that's really when it's close to feeling real or is real. That's when it's the best.
Right. I agree. Well,
because these stories, King Samoan, I mean, I'm fascinated by this because I'm trying to, probably in a selfish way, put myself into that scenario, like Back to the Future. Like if you transported me to their, these LDS weirdos, and I'm hanging out all of a sudden, what would happen if I just had my personality?
Right.
And it's probably not much different than what I thought about with the Hugh Hefner thing. They'd probably be nice to me and they'd say, never have that guy fucking come back here.
That's exactly how they'd be. They'd be nice to your face and polite, but as soon as you left, they'd be talking shit.
There she is, guys. There she is.
Exactly how they are. You're right.
How my
Can
life.
you hear me now?
We can hear you now, loud and clear. 10-4. Mr. X, can you hear her?
Yeah, I could see her. It's a little choppy.
I can't hear shit, man.
We can't hear you. You're on mute.
No, I don't think she's on mute. She might be too far away from the router.
Yeah. Maybe.
Well, a lot of people say you can just turn your camera off and you can do better.
turn your camera off because maybe the video feed you would just be able to hear you better. Sometimes that helps. Danielle taught me that. All right.
Now,
Still pixelated.
Still
The
tough.
audio's pixelated
okay,
at
hold
least.
on. Told you I'm not used to this.
Are you doing it on a computer or are you doing it on a phone?
Well, both, and it seems like when I on my phone, it's better.
It sounds like it's getting better.
Right.
I mean, I know in San Bernardino they're still over there on 3G, so I mean, you might need to get close to the router.
Thank you, Eagleizer, for coming into the chat room. Eagleizer's here now. Chanel, thank you for still being here. Camp Hog, what is that? Camp Hog. Between
Maybe I should
the
just call.
Razorback basketball team.
Well, isn't Equalizer there in the chat? Isn't he from Utah? He know. There's still some polygamists over there in the outside of Salt Lake area, over there towards where Old Salty is by the Orem, heading towards Orem over there. They got a whole polygamous sect that still lives out there. In fact, Warren Jeffs used to be the principal at the school over there.
Is Salty's area a nice area?
It is a nicer area. A lot of Mormon. Pretty much that's the Mormon hub right there where he's at.
So like you've lived in Southern California, like Los Angeles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if his area is what in Los Angeles? Like compare it to, it's not Beverly Hills, is it?
No. It would be. I'm trying to think what would be best.
Coima?
No.
Del Monte?
No.
Hey, Mr. X, you want to see something cool?
Yeah.
That area is pretty much middle-aged white people. I would say at least 70,
Torrance?
80% Mormon.
Glendale?
Yeah, you're getting there.
Burbank?
Yeah, I'd say more like a Burbank.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's not in Toluca Lake, but he's close enough to it,
Hey, you want to see something cool?
Yeah, what do you got?
Mr. X, this is Dana Illuminati. She said that her baby daddy looks like Ruben Sanchez. So I'm gonna show everybody. Okay.
Okay.
Here we go, guys. There you go. Can you see him?
Yeah, pull it closer.
Closer.
Down.
Okay, down. Okay.
It went off.
No, there you go. Right here. There you go.
Danielle.
There you go. Can you see him now?
You bring it up. Yeah.
He does look like Ruben. Yeah.
Why are all Hispanic men fucking Dodger fans? They'll beat the shit out of you over the Dodgers. That's like a holiday in Los Angeles.
Not just the Dodgers and the Niners, man. There's a lot of
you go wear a San Francisco 49ers, or I'm sorry, the Giants hat at the Dodger Stadium that day, you get to get your ass whipped. You'll come back in a fucking wheelchair. You don't fuck around over there.
You got a call coming in. Who is this? You're live. Oh, hey, Equalizer, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm just fellowshipping with Mr. X, Dana Nicole, and so King Samoan.
Oh yeah, good crew tonight.
Yes, sir. What's on your
Mr.
mind?
X was asking about polygamists.
Huh?
Mr. X was asking about polygamists.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
there's a ton of them, and I used to travel the entire state quite a bit, so I kind of know where they're all at. But there are a bunch out on where Salty lives in his little city. It's kind of right by Orem. It's right by the Utah Lake, which is kind of big. On the other side of that lake, there's a mountainside, and then there's a kind of a canyon behind there called Cedar Fort. And there's a bunch over there, and you don't really see them out and about. But if you go to southern Utah and you go to Walmart in St. George, which is the south end of the state, you go there on any night after 9 or 10 p.m. It's almost you'll see a bunch.
What's that one called? Cedar Court?
Cedar Fort.
Cedar Fort.
There's quite a few places in between.
Hey, Equalizer, do the polygamists there outside over there by Utah Lake, do they still dress like they do in St. George? Or over
You mean
there
where
in
the little
Colorado
house on the
City?
prairie closed?
Yeah, yeah, and the little house on the prairie closed.
Yeah, they. I think they all do. There's actually a bunch of them. They're kind of spread out through the state, but the majority of them are down in southern Utah.
Right.
Now there was a big compound right in Salt Lake. You probably all heard of Snowbird and Solitude and those ski resorts and stuff.
Yeah.
In Alta.
No.
I don't remember which canyon's which, but in the bottom of one of those canyons, they had a big compound, and I lived there for a while. And they would stop traffic, and there'd be a bunch of adults stopping traffic for about 50 kids to go across the street to play in the field.
Ugh.
I believe
But
it.
that's the only real compound I knew about in the Salt Lake area. There are quite a few with kind of the known families that are kind of throughout the place. There's quite a few of them still around. And they go all the way to the northern border too. There was I can't remember what family it was, but there was a documentary on a big oil scam that was worth millions. And I can't remember what the name of the family was, but
Can I ask you a question, Equalizer?
Sure.
You mentioned southern Utah.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about the town called Twokerville or Tokerville?
Yeah. It's right next to Laverkin.
Tell me more.
What do you want to know about it?
We got about 50 people there. That's about it.
Okay, well, my father moved there, and he never even told me he moved there. He stopped talking to me about, I don't know, but I moved in with a black guy.
You know, it's right off of I-15. It's not far. I always figured people were like token weed. I figured that's what it was. I never
That's
spent
not
a
what
lot
he
of time
does.
there.
Okay. I'm just curious.
But
I know it's like northeast of St. George because he moved from Mesquite, Nevada.
Yes, it's actually closer to Cedar City, I believe.
Yeah, that's about right.
It's probably right between the two. There's St. George, which is probably the biggest city. That's the west side of the freeway, and then on the east side of the freeway, you've got Washington, which is actually geographically bigger, but not as many people. And then there's a big sand dune, a lake, and then behind that you have a town called Hurricane, Laverkin, and then Tokerville's right after that, I believe. Somewhere in there is Leeds as well. There's a ghost town there.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just learning that he moved there a couple of years ago, I guess.
It's kind of a cool place. You know, Salt Lake, a lot of people don't stay here when they get older because of the elevation. You know, it's 4,300 feet here.
Oh.
And if you're old or you have lung issues, you know, you're better off with cold, dry air or thicker air. So, like, a lot of guys go down to St. George when they retire.
Right.
The majority of St. George is college students. They have a pretty big college. And then it's old people that are retired. And then there's a shitload of white trash. And then there's some other people, too. But that's kind of what you really see down there is a shitload of old people.
Sounds like Redding, California.
Yeah.
It's smaller than it is like Redding, but Tokerville is one of those towns that if you blink, you'll miss it. It's tiny, you know. And you said your dad.
I don't know if I've actually ever been there.
You know, and you said your dad lived in Mesquite. My mom actually retired and lived in Mesquite. She's lived in Mesquite the last 25 years because she likes to gamble. So that whole area, that's a nice area. You know, there's a lot of money in Mesquite.
But it's actually, you know, it's pretty hot. And I believe,
it is hot.
I'm not sure about this, but I believe that the elevation's even 1,000 feet lower than maybe even Vegas. Like Mesquite's really low. I might be wrong.
I've been to Mesquite. I mean, he informed me when he moved to Mesquite, and I was able to come visit and stuff like that. But apparently, he had a vacation home in Parowan or something like that.
Parowan is by Cedar City. That's further north.
Yeah,
it's like real high elevation, and he couldn't breathe.
Mountains.
So, just learned he moved to Tokerville.
Cedar City is real similar to Salt Lake. It's around 40-something, 4,500 or 4,300. They actually have very similar weather to us, but they're only 60 miles from St. George, which is really low, and it's a pretty big pass between the two.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I'm just curious.
What else do you want to know about Utah? I'll tell you it all. I've been everywhere.
What about the Utah Jazz? Are they going to win the championship?
How about the Skinwalker Ranch?
I've actually driven by there. We tried getting in there once for another project I was working on at one time, and we got the okay, and then at the last minute they turned us down. But I know it's privately owned by somebody in Vegas, and they were trying to make some sort of a production out there. But it is a real place with real weird, unexplained stuff.
What about Price, Utah?
Price is Carbon County.
Yeah.
That's kind of a mining town. There's a lot of coal there.
A lot of oil rigs too.
Back in the day, the history of it, Helper it's kind of basically Price, but it's just north. That was the railroad town. And then Price was kind of the mining town. Everything around there has to do with coal mining.
Right.
Damn, some of these towns I never even fucking heard of. Dinosaur, Colorado? What the fuck is this?
Right on the border.
It's just right by Vernal, and the reason it's called that is because there's a big dinosaur quarry. And they have
I never. This is like on a different world. I never heard of any of these places. This is probably like when I'm talking about Los Angeles to some people.
Vernal's the town. Yeah,
I'm looking at the map as you guys, and I'm like, I've never heard of any of these places except for like Park City and Provo.
Yeah, Park City.
Like, unless they have a college football team, I don't know anything about it.
Kind of by there.
Yeah,
wow.
Park City is nice. That whole area, though, man, the billionaires kind of pushed everybody out of that whole area, huh? I heard all the millionaires moved to
Park
Heber.
City's really bloomed since I'm trying to think when I became real familiar with it. It was probably back in around like 98 is when I became real familiar with that area, and it really grew from that point forward. It really got big and really got expensive, and everything else in the county along with it, even though some of the towns are 40 miles away, they all are way overvalued as well.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of money.
What about the Utah Jazz?
I haven't really followed them since Stockton and Malone, dude.
Oh, really?
I'm with Equalizer on that one.
On that team.
Oh, so you don't like you like Utah Jazz though?
Well, I mean, I like them, I guess. I just don't really. I'm not really into sports.
Okay.
You know, you watch people that are into sports, and they're always standing up and yelling and screaming and throwing their arms and yelling and screaming shit and high fiving their buddies. And to be honest, man, I'm jealous. I don't know what that feels like to have those emotions. I'm just not into sports.
You need to put $1,000 on a game, and then you'll learn those emotions very quick.
Probably would feel it then, yeah.
Yeah, $1,000 or whatever, you probably can't afford on it, where it gets to a point where like, I don't know if I should be betting this kind of money. You'll be fucking calling a motherfucker any name in the book. That's how it goes down. You'll all of a sudden start hating people. You'll be glad when somebody gets injured. Things change real quick.
What about a Equalizer? What about Lagoon Amusement Park?
That's actually kind of a cool park. It's considering where it's at, it's actually in a pretty small town called Farmington. People that go there, I mean, they probably employ the whole town of Farmington as far as the kids go.
Right.
But it's people come from all over. It's our own little Disneyland, and it grows every year. And
my family has a season pass.
The guy that owned it back in the day, I don't know, 12 years ago or so, I met him. I was kind of doing some business up there with something, and they escorted me back to him, and they were testing out a new ride. His name was David. He had this big sheepdog, and he was the nicest guy ever, but he was kind of old. And they were trying out whatever the new ride was, and he's like, hey, you want to give it a try? It was just him and a little group of people. It was really funny. Super cool guy, cool park. Haven't really been there. Other than that visit, haven't really been there for 20 years.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But I really, really liked the guy, the owner guy, when I met him. He was a really nice guy.
I bet. Well, Miss Button B Me is saying, Johnny, I'm heading to bed. I'll be rewatching in the morning. Well, good night, Button B. You have a good night. Thank you for coming to the chat room. Appreciate it.
Hey, Equalizer, what kind of work are you in? You don't got to be specific, but are you in construction? Or do you own your own business? I got my hands in
quite a few things. I do some mechanic stuff. I do a little bit of I don't want to say what the other thing is.
Yeah,
I got my hands in some stuff.
That works.
Yeah, the haters are listening.
Yeah, they're always listening.
I'm not worried about haters, but
well,
I don't really show my face because I get around a lot. I'll just say that.
What area is Salty in? What's the name of that town?
He's He says Vineyard, which is basically Orem. I think Vineyard's just out by the lake. That's about 40 miles probably south from the center of Salt Lake, if I had to guess.
Now,
Maybe
if you
30.
get near Vineyard, and is like the Pacific Ocean being closer to that lake, is that more desirable? Or I've heard that lake is shitty.
You know, I don't know. You know, when I was down in Vineyard, the majority of my travels were 15 years ago. There wasn't much to it. I think it's probably, there's been a lot of growth everywhere in Utah. I would imagine most of what's there is probably new, and it's probably pretty nice. I don't know. I haven't been down there in a long time, but it's probably a pretty nice community. The whole lake community down there, around there, there's a couple towns. There's his side, and then the other side is Saratoga Springs and Eagle Mountain, and those have exploded in the last 15 years.
And they got don't they have a military base over there too, don't they? National Guard base of some sort?
Moab
and Draper.
Sorry, actually, I couldn't hear you.
What about Moab and Draper?
Well, Draper's just the point of the mountain. That's between Salt Lake and Orem.
That's where the prison is, Johnny.
Oh, really?
Moab is where all the hippies hang out, and it's where everybody goes rock crawling in their Jeeps, and they have the slick rock stuff. And there's a lot of outdoor stuff down there. It's actually a really beautiful red rock area.
What was that? What was that place that Ty Corbin was at? Like the State Street, and you guys were saying it was like a downtown area, Salt Lake, right?
That was downtown Salt Lake. Yeah, that was right there on the corner by. There's just a couple gas stations, and then just a block away, they were tearing down a Sears. I mean, if you were looking for drugs, that'd be a pretty good place to go. That place is kind of ghetto.
That's where a lot of the homeless sleep on the streets all along. In
a lot of homeless people,
400, 500 south. Yep. It's all, they got what they call out there in Salt Lake is the block. That's what they call it. And that's where a lot of the druggies, it's an open air drug market is what it is. And the cops don't really do anything about it.
Putting up cameras everywhere now.
Right.
There's
okay, so
ghetto that they couldn't run the people out. They tried, that they started blasting opera music from a loudspeaker on a pole. That's their way to, and they still hang out there. It's funny.
So Vineyard is near Utah Lake, not Salt Lake. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, it's not even in Salt Lake County.
Okay, so I was confused. Okay, now I see. I'm looking at them. I've never really looked at this on a map. I'm just interested because I hear so many people talk about it. I'm on all these shows, but I really don't know about it that much.
Utah County is pretty crazy. It has two main cities and then a couple little cities, but Orem is a big city and Provo is a big city. Provo's probably the more one that you'd probably hear of, and it's where most of the Mormons are, is down in that area.
Yeah,
I was hearing a lot about when I was doing the lie detector and the eye detector stuff back. We were talking about Ty Corbin. Everything was in South and West Jordan because I remember seeing those and I was like, I don't know what the fuck that is.
That's actually in Salt Lake County. That's just the south end of the valley.
Yeah, that's still all part of Salt Lake. It's just like the outskirts.
What's weird is there's an Idaho. It's not quite a border town, but it's close to Idaho, called Logan. The Logan Valley is probably, even though Provo kind of gets the title for Mormon capital, Logan is probably more so.
Right.
You go there and they don't even have bars that I know of. Like I think you're just up there and it's just everybody's just a Mormon.
I
Crazy.
have a question. Some people might not take this great, but I don't think there's that many LDS on here tonight. But have you ever tried to sneak into the tabernacle?
Ever tried to do what? Say that again.
Sneak into the tabernacle, to the Mormon church.
To the Mormon temple?
Yeah, the temple, the tabernacle, whatever. That's the choir.
I don't know if you'd want to sneak in there. I mean, they're getting vandalized all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know that they don't let people in. They're not Mormon. My dad was raised Mormon.
Camas, kind of just east of Park City, family, kind of a weird family. There's polygamists up there too, but they actually blew up a church, and then there was a big police standoff, and it was like a 21-day standoff compound, like a mini Waco thing, and it ended up turning into a shooting where people died.
You know the Halloween after that Waco thing, where they took the children, the 400, kids or whatever. My friends and I up as a journalist. I made all the.
I'm not really hearing any of that. I'm sorry.
You're breaking up on us, Dana.
Yeah, I'm about to peace out too, guys. I got to get to sleep
Yeah.
here. I got to wake up and do some shit in the morning. But
Yeah, me too.
well, don't leave because of me.
I'm not. I'm gonna stay on here.
It's
about
your
another
hours.
10 I'm gonna stay here about another 10 minutes.
All right, I'm peacing out here. Hey, listen, Equalizer, appreciate you. King Samoan, Dana, Nicole's here. Everybody's here. Appreciate it. I'm peacing out of here.
See you
Good night,
later,
Mr. X.
We'll talk
Good
to
night,
you later.
Mr. X.
Amen.
Okay,
Amen.
Mr. Equalizer. That Mr. X is out of here, and I don't know what we're going to do now. Me and King Samoan's going to run this show tonight.
Yeah, let's
Oh,
do
yeah?
it, buddy.
I don't know him very well. Let's meet him a little bit.
King Samoan, he wants to meet you a little bit. Go ahead, King Samoan.
Well, I already kind of told my story the other night. Remember, I was telling everybody. He must have missed it, but I grew up in California, and I got sent to Utah as a teenager, actually, to live with my grandparents in Salt Lake,
Oh,
to live the Samoan lifestyle. I was a wild kid. Yeah, there really is. Well, and that's what I was telling these guys. A lot of these guys don't realize. A lot of people think Salt Lake area is kind of soft or it's weak, but it's got some pretty crazy shit going on there all the time, especially in those areas. My brother and a lot of my family, they grew up in that Glendale area, Rose Park, and they consider that the hood of Salt Lake, and it's pretty ghetto. I'm not gonna lie. You know what I mean? They get pretty crazy over there.
Yeah, it does. There's a lot that happens. So what years were you there?
I was there in the 90s. I came to Utah in the early 90s. Yeah. I stayed in Utah until I was in my 20s, and then I left when I met my wife, and I moved all over the place. Spent most of my time in Oregon, California, that area, and a lot in Nevada as well. That's how I kind of got hooked on the whole thing, is with the Dylan Rounds thing, because I've spent a lot of time in northern Nevada as well. My children are all in Nevada, so it kind of hit home with me, and that's kind of how I got into this whole mix. But I'm just a nobody.
I got
Morgan,
tied up in all
I love that.
talk shit on a show that I watched. It was he was the attorney out of Colorado.
Who was it?
Scott, what's his name? The attorney out of Colorado. I don't even know the name of his channel or anything. I've been up way too many hours, but I saw him on that program. I'm like, I gotta follow this guy around and see what he's up to, because it was pretty funny.
Right.
So, but yeah, he was on that show, and then I just kind of followed him wherever he went. And it's kind of turned into, I don't really care so much about the true crime. It's just kind of turning into a community that I kind of like.
Right. No, I agree. And I'm not a true crime person either, to be honest with you. I never followed any of that stuff up until the Dylan Round stuff. So, I got hooked on it through Heavy D, just because, I'm big into diesels. And, I showed Johnny my truck. I'm a big diesel guy, so I'm really big into the whole diesel scene.
I'm actually pretty close to him.
Are you?
Yeah.
He's another guy. I won't say anything bad about him, but that guy's kind of fake. I'll say that. I'll tell you that.
He's a businessman, and he's always selling something. But
that is true.
Tell you, I know a lot of people in common with him. I've actually never met him, but I know some of his guys. I've met some of his guys, and I run into all of them around town sometimes.
Right.
But I'll tell you, he does a lot of good for people, and he's just successful, and good for him. I mean, he deserves it. He's worked
absolutely.
hard.
He's definitely a
pretty
businessman.
good guy, though.
Yeah, he seems like he's a good dude. He seems like he does a lot for the community, and for not just the community, but for anybody really that reaches out to him. He seems like he's a pretty cool dude. But he is a businessman.
His dealership before he was famous. It was kind of funny.
Did you really? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Before they were ever on TV, and it was if you watch his show, it was Jim. Jimbo's the guy that was his sell the truck guy. He was the guy that I dealt with. I actually know him pretty well from that. And then I would buy quite a few parts back and forth, and sell stuff. And I did some work for them too through one of my companies. But it's funny that I've never actually met him. But like I said, I've ran into some of his guys quite a bit. I see him at the gas station sometimes, like almost twice a week, 3 times a week. It's pretty funny.
I heard that. I heard that what's his name, Diesel Dave. He's one of the ones that actually doesn't have I don't know if it's true or not. Maybe but I heard that Diesel Dave's one of the only ones out of that whole crew that doesn't have a giant big mansion like the rest of them, like the Muscle Dude and Dave Sparks does. I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard
probably doesn't have a big mansion, but he's got a nice piece of property that's big. Like it's got some value, but it's not the $2 million house that Heavy D lives in.
Right. Yeah, I heard Heavy D, and
we're not talking California homes. 2 million here is giant.
Right, that's massive there. You know, I remember the lawyer that lived there in Utah, the one call that's all dude. At the time, he had like a $40 million house he was building. Remember, I think they sued him or something.
You talking about Greg Barton?
There you go. That's the guy.
I know some it's related to him, and there was a big breakup in that law firm between him and his partners, I heard. And that was one of the assets that they had to split, was who gets that slogan and that name. That's what I heard anyway. I don't really know for sure, but
well, I remember it because he was building this giant house somewhere, and I can't remember where it was. I think it was in the Farmington area, maybe Bountiful, somewhere over there.
That
but I remember.
You ever heard of you remember Siegfried and Jensen?
I do.
I know of a couple of their houses up in Park City, and they're outrageous. There's a lot of money in that whole personal injury thing. You got to remember that the lawyers do everything on contingency. So when it's all said and done, they get like 30% of what the judgment is.
Right, because a lot of those places,
pretty big judgments. Those guys do really well. That's probably the richest kind of lawyer to be, is be a personal injury lawyer if you're any good at it.
I believe it, because that Siegfried and Jensen, those guys are massive. Now, and there's another one, DeBry. Is he still? I think he was around back then too. Robert J. DeBry.
I think his kid's still doing it. I kind of knew him back in the day too. I know a couple guys at Siegfried.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's cool. Good old Utah.
Yeah, I like it. There's not too many. I go a lot of places, and it only feels like I'm home when I'm here. And I also feel like I'm home in Vegas for some reason.
Right.
But here in Vegas, just feel like home.
Yeah, I believe it. You know, and Jim said the other night that there's no hot chicks in Utah, man. I got to disagree with that one.
Chicks,
I will totally agree, and I've been all over the country, almost every state.
People everywhere else, and then you go to Utah and you're like, yeah, we have the best looking chicks.
Yep, I agree. You know, Texas has some beautiful women as well, and of course California does as well because of Hollywood and all that. But as far as places that aren't Hollywood, Utah and Texas both, man, they got some beautiful women.
Don't forget San Bernardino.
Oh, California,
I was just down in Carlsbad a couple months ago. I had to go down there for a wedding. And I really enjoyed it down there too. That place is beautiful. I kind of went all over that area and then further south down into San Diego, and I really enjoyed being there. It's been a long time since I've been there, but I could see going there one day.
Right.
But I'll probably end up in Florida one day.
Florida's nice. I've been to Florida a few times. It's a nice area. I'm more into the Oregon coast though. It's cold, you know. It doesn't get very hot in the Oregon coast, but I love Oregon for some reason. You know, it's just.
I do too. There's a
beautiful place.
There's a border town called Brookings that I was looking at a property in once.
Brookings.
I was going to mention Brookings.
Yeah, it's a nice area.
Anybody ever been to Hood River?
I have many a time. Yeah.
Hood River. It's on the Columbia River.
Is that in Oregon?
Like 60 miles east of Portland. Yeah, 60 miles east of Portland.
Comes down from Mount Hood, I'm assuming.
It does. Mount Hood empties. It's right along I-84.
Mm-hmm.
If that means anything to you.
I lived there. I went down to Oregon City once.
Oregon City is south of Portland, but Hood River is like the second or third windsurfing capital of this area, I guess, or the United States.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, haven't you ever seen?
When I went to Oregon, I just realized this feels a lot like Utah, but everybody has a big fucking beard. I couldn't understand why everybody had a big long lumberjack beard.
And all the women drive a Les Baru.
A Les Baru with a coexist sticker on the back.
And their chain attached to their, belt clip and their wallet in the back, with their backwards hat and their khaki shorts with the shirt tucked in.
Yeah.
You know what? One thing I know. One thing I didn't notice about Oregon, though, they got a lot of homeless veterans in Oregon. A lot of them, man. A lot of the homeless people that I've met in Oregon, a lot of them are vets. You know, younger vets too.
Yeah.
You know, not like Afghanistan. Desert Storm.
Want to
vets.
know why? I'll tell you why. I had a friend she was a doctor. She was a surgeon. Her and I met. I was my first job out of nursing school. It was her first job out of residency. She, 16 years of training, trauma surgeon, burn specialist, decided to enlist in the Army because she heard that the doctors on the front line performing trauma surgery were dermatologists. So she went over there, enlisted, living in Oregon, and came back after her second tour in horrible PTSD. They have no resources for people in Oregon because there's no Army base. They basically set her on her own.
Yeah, I believe it. That doesn't surprise me.
You know, it used to be that almost all the homeless people were vets, and it was a lot sadder
Yeah.
than that. Now it seems like all the homeless people are druggies and alcoholics, and they're young kids, and it's really kind of sad. But you know, it was really a lot sadder when it was vets. Now it's people making dumb choices. Back then it was people that didn't know what to do.
I think it's a combination of both, because there's no VA support in Oregon because there's no active, well, I don't know about which branch, but Army bases. They basically told her, sorry, we can't help you. And then what do? You go numb yourself. No, I'm not saying her, and I'm not saying everybody, but there are a lot of people that have chosen to do drugs and live out there. And Portland's gotten horrible, but there are a lot of them.
Everybody homeless is drugs and alcohol. You'll find her with them, and that's just kind of what it's turned into. They're kind of the same thing. Those three things go together now: homelessness and addiction.
Well, and people don't realize here in Oregon, all the drugs have been decriminalized. You know, all the hard drugs, personal use, meth and heroin, and all
I'm
that.
all for doing what you want, but I think that's just feeding it. I think that's going to make it a lot worse.
I'll tell you what, Equalizer, it's brought so many of the homeless into this state. It's ridiculous. It's crazy to see. You know, you get people from all these other states. They're literally coming here to get their fix, and then they can go back to their state. You know what I mean? After they're done, or however long and they don't get in trouble. You got these shops that are selling, and people are free to do whatever the fuck they want. You know, I don't judge nobody. I got my own issues. But, you know, it's brought in so many of the homeless and so much of the bad into Oregon that some of these smaller communities, like the ones that I'm a part of, you know, the law enforcement, they don't know what to do because their hands are tied. You know, all they can do is write them a ticket. But giving a homeless person a ticket, they'll wipe their ass with it and throw it on the ground as soon as they get it. They don't care. You know what I mean? And it's brought so many people in.
Salt Lake too, where they're not holding anybody. They're not holding felons or anyone. They're just letting them out, and they blamed it on COVID for a while, but they're still doing it. And the thing, what I think is going to happen, and I hope it happens because it needs to happen, because a lot of the violent crimes, and including murders, are being committed by people that should already be locked up. And there's going to come a time when a group of the people that are victims are going to get together, and they're going to get the right attorney, and it's going to be a class action lawsuit, and they're going to hold them accountable. And that's going to be the end of it. It's going to happen. Right.
Well, and I got family in Utah still in the Salt Lake area, and they tell me the same thing, that the Salt Lake Valley is getting flooded by homeless. Like, it's getting really, really bad, and it's it's starting to spread.
I mean, you're familiar with the area. It used to just be downtown, but I drove by 7th East right there in Sugar House the other day, and the whole underpass was full of tents, Tent City.
That's crazy. And Sugar House is a nice area. You know what I mean? It's a lot of young college students, and you know, some of the it's not like super rich, but you know, it's real bougie. And I shouldn't say bougie. It's more I don't know how to explain it. You know what I'm saying, though. You know, it's more for that younger crowd. A lot of the younger crowd hang out. A lot of college students and all that are in that area. So that's kind of scary. But my family told me the same thing, that they're starting to spread, you know, from downtown Salt Lake area, and the homeless are starting to go out into, you know, Sandy and Murray, and starting to get out into the other areas of town.
They expanded that tracks line. So the tracks goes everywhere now.
Right.
And as soon as tracks was kind of completed, they held some big sting down at Pioneer Park where all the bums used to hang out at,
Mm-hmm.
and basically evicted them, arrested them, and basically ran them off. So they just jump on the train and go everywhere. They're everywhere that train goes now.
You know, I never understood why they kicked all the homeless out of that. I know why they did it, because obviously that was a big drug park. But what doesn't make sense is, as you know, all the homeless centers are right there, right across the street, pretty much. I never understood why they did that.
They closed all those, and then they built 3 new big ones right in the middle of neighborhoods. They've destroyed 3 neighborhoods by just surrounding them, just dropping a big homeless shelter in the middle of them. 3 neighborhoods are really ruined now because of the way that they've handled this.
Go ahead,
you can give away a house there now.
Well, I'm really offended. You're supposed to refer to them as people experiencing homelessness or the unhoused.
Yeah, houseless.
That's my sense of humor, guys. Come on.
Remember, guys, I used to be homeless now.
Right. I've been there too,
So
Johnny.
did I.
I've been homeless
So did
myself.
I, Johnny. And not a
Right.
lot of people know that about me, but I get
I
you.
lived in my car.
I like to be called transit more than anything.
Being a transient.
Choice. These days, it's a choice.
Right. It is a choice.
I
agree.
like to just be called a
Yes,
delinquent.
you are right about that, Equalizer. It is a choice. You know, people in life, like I don't like when people were called, because mainly homeless people, we get called bad names. Okay, we get called pieces of shit. We get called pieces of crap, all kinds of names. But the only reason, but look, I just want to say this. Look at King Samoan, or look at me, and look at Dana Nicole. We've all been there, and you know what? It's up to you to grab yourself out of that fucking hole and get your ass up out of it. Like me, in 2021, I put my big boy boots on. I said, you know what? I'm not going to be homeless no more. I want to have a life where I can have fun on this, have fun now and bring my stories and stuff like this to a YouTube platform. And this is where I come at. I love, you know what? You have to love yourself. And not only that, now is against the law. And like Orange County, you can't even be homeless in Orange County. You got to go stay at one of their shelters or you're going to jail.
Thank you.
Where were you homeless at, Sloth?
What's that?
Where were you homeless at? What area? What state?
Orange County, California.
Okay, well, at least the weather was good. We get people up here that are trying to camp out in 17 degrees.
But at nighttime it gets really, really cold. Like tonight, I've been through rainy nights. I've been through windy when it's real windy, when you're just wearing, you're wearing shorts and you have a t-shirt. What's that?
Especially when somebody steals your piece of cardboard that you've been saving all day.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
True.
I've seen people stealing other people's homeless stealing from homeless,
Right.
Oh yeah, that happens all the time.
and are putting their tents on fire, or making fires. I used to stay off. Like I was telling the story last night. I used to stay on Skid Row. So that, like, when Mr. Egg says, that one time he's like, well, wouldn't you like to go do a couple 3 nights on Skid Row? And I said, yeah, I don't mind doing it. But then he thought about it and he says, oh, that's too dangerous for you to go do that. I've been down in Skid Row. On Skid Row, you have to mind your own business. Do you, and don't be getting in nobody else's shit.
Well, and I think
Anywhere
that's
you
any
can do
homeless
that.
area, Johnny. You start getting into any homeless area in Salt Lake's
Yep.
just like that as well. You start getting into people's business, or you start, eyeing the other man and what he's doing and what he's selling or whatever it may be. It's a good way to get yourself stabbed or shot, or they take it pretty serious.
And one side of the street is a certain, homeless, congregation, and the other side of the street, they're totally different.
Yeah, very true. They click up in different cliques.
Yes,
what I know,
exactly.
Like the natives all came together and they had like a big native crew. The black dudes had their little area over there, and it was real segregated like that, at least where I was.
That's weird.
Yeah.
All I know, you had to stay on the right side of the boulevard, and the people were cool. Anyway, I'm not going to talk anymore about me because I wasn't planning to bring that up.
You know, they were, you know, and it was so sad when they were, when you walking down the street, you're seeing prostitution in the tents.
Right.
Wow.
They don't want to go.
They're behind 7-Eleven. Come on now.
Right. They'll do it anywhere they can just to make a quick buck.
Or even take that hit, or even take a hit.
Exactly.
Well,
I've
it's got
seen
to the point now with a lot of the drugs. People with these drugs nowadays, especially in those big cities, they don't hide it. You know what I mean? You can walk down the road and see
they stand
50
right out there with
people
their crack
shooting up.
pipe and shit.
Right. It's pretty common in big cities now to see that.
Like LA, especially LA. You know,
Yep.
I don't know about San Francisco. You know, I've been to San Francisco one time, and I was I went on Pier 39. And
I used to live there. I lived in San Francisco for years.
Their crab meat is so fucking delicious. I wish I could have some more crab meat.
Those piers are
I
cool.
will cook a crab like you're.
San Francisco, I was there last year, man. That's the same deal over there. It's just as bad as LA, honestly. The homeless,
You know what?
people
San
robbing,
Francisco's
stealing,
got
killing.
horrible.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you go because Chanel wants to call in. I'm going to free up your line, bud.
Okay, no problem. Okay.
Talking to you guys.
Nice talking to you, Equalizer.
Thank
you.
Equalizer.
Good night,
Bye, Equalizer.
There he is. Hey, you know what? That was another good phone call we had tonight.
Yeah,
and I'm loving it. And I'm loving it. You know,
he's a good dude.
Yeah, you can tell he's a good dude.
Hey, Mr. King Samoan and Dana, I had to be my own mod tonight. So and that's why I wasn't really saying much. I was paying attention to the chat. You know, and I appreciate you handling it. Chanel's about to call in right now.
Okay.
Hey, Johnny, I'm about to call in. Come on, Chanel. I'm waiting. I'm ready for you. We're always waiting for you, Miss Chanel.
We'll wait all night for you.
That's right. That's right. We're at 3:07 right now, and that's 3 hours and 7 minutes. And we got 52 still in the chat room.
Nice. We're getting your hours up, Johnny. We're getting them.
Yes, sir. I love it.
This is my time of night. This is when I get to finally, chill.
I'm with Dana. I'm actually a night owl as well. I've been a night owl my whole life. I used to run construction at night for years. So we would work from 6 o'clock at night to 6 in the morning, or 7 at night to 7 in the morning. So I did that for so many years that I have a hard time sleeping at night. I
do too.
Right.
I do too. You have to
fall asleep
remember.
about 5 or 6. Right. I fall asleep.
You hear me,
about 5 or
Chanel?
6 in the morning.
Hey, Chanel. Chanel's on, guys. You called the old number, Michelle. Chanel, do you have the other number, Chanel? Okay, I'll drop it again. Hold on real quick, okay? Okay, hold on real quick. I'm going to go ahead and drop it. Just hang up. Go ahead and drop it. I'll just hang up. Go ahead. Okay. Bye. There you go, Chanel. There's the number. The reason why I had to call the other phone is because this phone number here, because that phone right there is an Obama phone, and you can't really hear shit on when you're talking live on this phone. So I got me another phone, and so people can hear, so we can hear what people are saying.
Right.
Damn Obama phones.
I know, right?
I don't have one, by the way, but I did it one time when I was homeless.
Oh, there she is. There she is. Hello, Chanel. Miss Chanel, you're on live.
Hey, Johnny. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, Chanel.
Hey. Hello. Now, all I wanted to touch bases on you guys talking about the homelessness and stuff is in San Francisco and that too. You guys were talking about Oregon just not too long ago, right?
Uh-huh.
Right.
Right. Yes. It's so bad down there, you guys. Like when I went back home last year, it's like my daughter wanted to go up the pier, so we walking on the pier, right? They told us, and the pier usually doesn't close at 5. The guard was like, "Hey, no one else can go on the pier." It was so junky. I've never seen it so trashy like that. I was so
really.
It broke my. Yeah, I never seen it. And I'm like, hold on a second. And you look down and we walk down in front. They have like a little, we call it flea market back home.
Right.
And I'm like, hold on a second. They closed the pier, but they still out here cooking food and selling all kind of products, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is so, I'm talking trash all over the place, you guys. Just trash all in the water. Never seen it like that.
Really?
Homeless all on the side of the street. You got the homeless taking a piss and the crap all out, all out in the open.
Damn.
I told my
No.
brother, I'm done. Let's go. Yeah, it's
And
bad.
Chanel,
It's
that's
so
what I've heard. They say Market Street is like just a shit show down there, literally.
Yep. Yeah, it's not the same no more. It's all ruined. I mean, everything is just, our government, it has truly failed us. If they don't do something about this, and I'm talking just all over, not just in San Francisco, we're going to run this country to an anarchy. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I think we're headed there.
It's a sovereign citizen.
Yep. It's bad. It's bad.
I know.
Crazy.
Well, Eco was touching on a lot of topics that I like, because what he's saying is true. I mean, it's just everywhere. It's not even about ghettos no more. They don't even care about. It's beyond that. It's worse. Homeless people are they're even getting into the rich areas now.
Right. Yeah,
They're
they really are.
infiltrating everywhere.
Right.
Yep. And the government's not doing nothing about it.
Do you know? Go ahead, Chanel.
I'm telling you, it's gonna become a big problem.
Well,
They're not doing nothing about it.
Well, Chanel, I'm happy that I'm not happy about what you're saying. I wish we can just all get together and go down there and try to help these homeless people. You know what I mean? Because I used to get some help. You know what I mean? At first I didn't. At first I tell people, oh, I don't want a handout. I don't want a handout. And somebody came up to me before and put their arm around my shoulder and they says, you know what? Sometimes it's good to have handouts. You know what I mean? And
you know what though?
Yeah, go ahead.
Nobody can help anybody unless they're ready to accept the help and help themselves.
Right.
True.
Yeah, Johnny, it's not just the fact that they, just give them help. And even if they do, even if we do, it's them. It's they check. Like I was talking to Mr. X about this. They check out mentally. They just give up on life completely.
Right.
I didn't.
Right. For that, because some people are just checking out and said, "Fuck it, I'm done. I don't give a fuck what happens. I don't even care." They mentally check out. They don't even care what's going on around them.
I used to be like that, Chanel.
So that's how I look at it anyway.
Oh.
It's sad to see.
I hadn't planned to, talk about my time, sleeping on the concrete, but exactly. You get to a point where it's like, who cares? Just numb me. I'm done.
That's exactly, yeah. But I mean, I can't relate because I've never, I would never go there. I mean, you know what I mean? I never have to worry about any of that. I don't go there. I mean, I can't relate to you guys, but what I'm simply saying is that I see the problem too. You know what I mean? And it's more to just what people saying. It's more to what, how they're putting it. It's like these people are just really just literally checking out. And like I said, what I mean by that is mentally, they just fed up with life. They're done. They don't even want to try no more.
And they don't even know what time of year it is. That's weird.
What's that?
They don't even know what day it is or what time of year or.
Yeah, they're just so focused on one thing, and from day to day life, just living day to day life, worrying about the next high. You know what I mean?
Right. I think that's why a lot of them get trapped in that life.
Abandoned building
They are
gonna
doing
break
that.
into next.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of them is trapped. Exactly, and especially for the vets. I mean, the vets that shouldn't even be happening. I mean, they fought for our country, and this is what just the thanks that they get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so wrong.
Very true. The vets do. They get the worst. They get treated like shit. They go fight for the country, come back. I got a really close buddies that were in the military, and one of them has been suicidal ever since he came back from Afghanistan because he was trained for so many years to kill, and be a soldier that he doesn't know how to function in normal society. He came back out of the military and he's lost. He doesn't know what to do.
Because he suffered from. See, that's another thing. They come out. They come out of service, out of war and stuff, and they don't have programs for them. They don't have services, other than helping, as far as helping them with their mental health. Again, they suffer from PTSD. You train to kill, and that's all you. You know what I mean? You're a whole different animal. You're a whole different person.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you come back home, it's like you don't look at things the same. It's different. It's like you have to transition. That's why I was talking to my sister about this. That you have to. You got a husband, or even a wife. It's in the military. You have to know when they come home. You got to support them. You have to really, 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 really support them.
Right.
You know, because if not, they can go off on a deep end and just say, you know, screw it.
Right.
You know?
The friend I was talking about earlier who was a vet in Oregon and they didn't have programs for anybody from the Army, she got lost in the VA system. They didn't have programs or anywhere for her to go because it was a non-based state. We were walking through a grocery store parking lot and a news helicopter flew overhead and she fell to the ground and was crawling because that's what she was used to.
Yeah.
She went back for her second tour because that was what was normal for her, to be around those people and be hyper vigilant for a reason. And, you know, she came back, she tried to kill herself. She went 10 years and got all of the treatment, therapy and stuff she needed, was doing good. COVID shut everything down. It's almost going to be a year ago. In a week and a half, she killed herself.
Yeah. See, and it's so sad, and they, you know, they just don't. I don't know. I just, you know, I don't even have words for it because I get so caught up in my thoughts sometimes.
Right.
Well,
so not
you know,
everybody out there is there for drugs, but
I'm sorry.
I said not everybody out there is there for their next fix. It's those that have fallen through the cracks that, you know.
Right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's everything. People just give up. Period.
right.
And then
Yeah.
like I said, after COVID, that's what you know, it gotten worse.
Well, and it's like my buddy who was a Marine, you know, he came back from the Afghanistan war. He got blown up by an IED there in Afghanistan. It wiped out his whole squad. He was actually lucky to live, but it blew up a bunch of his brain. So he's really mentally challenged in the brain. And when he came back from the war, just like Dana was saying, he didn't have any resources. You know, he went to the VA, but he was using marijuana to cope with PTSD. And the VA more or less told him if he continues to smoke marijuana or use it as a crutch, that they were going to kick him out of the program, that he wouldn't be able to even go to the VA or get any help from the VA because he chose to use medical marijuana to help with his PTSD. You know, and I got stories for days on people and their marijuana, because I am very, very pro marijuana for medical purposes, you know, and people can use it for whatever the hell they want. But as far as medical reasons go, you know, I've seen what marijuana does. You know, a very close friend of mine, a female of my ex-wife's friend, you know, she beat cancer 3 times through chemo. The 4th time she went back and beat it with marijuana. And a lot of people say you can't do that with marijuana, but I've seen it personally with my own eyes. The doctors gave up on her, told her she got 30 days to live, and she went on extremely high doses of cannabis oil eating it. And within 3 months, her hair started growing back, and it's been over 4 years now. And she was supposed to die 4 years ago. She was supposed to be dead. You know, so I'm a big advocate on that. But the way they treat the veterans in this country, it's just sickening. It blows me away that a lot of these people get more support than our vets do.
Can I say one more thing about this whole horrible? Sorry.
All right, well, it's nice talking to you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys go. You have a rest. Thanks, Johnny.
You're welcome, Miss
Chanel.
Chanel.
Good talking to you.
I'm gonna come on tomorrow too, Chanel.
Okay, you too. I'm sorry. What was your name again? King Samoan?
Yeah, that's me.
All right. It was nice talking to you. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Chanel.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Well, there was another call, guys. Hey, King Samoan, Dana, Nicole, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. We've been on here for 3 hours and 18. I'm getting my back starting to hurt a little bit.
All right,
I'm kind of getting tired, you know. King Samoan, I'm going to call you off the air. I'm going to call you off air in the morning tomorrow.
Okay, buddy.
Because I want to reach some bases with you.
Okay.
If you don't mind if I call you.
Yeah, no, you know, you can call me.
And I want to share, whoever has my number, whoever has the 562-612-9302. If you have something to say, you got something nice to say, positive, you're more than welcome to call my phone or text me. I'm always going to be there for you guys to try to answer your questions whatever questions you need to ask. And I just want to say thank you very much for all the people in the chat room for coming. Dana, Nicole, you're more than welcome to come up on my panel any given time. King Samoan and Ruben Sanchez. They are my co-hosts that comes on the show, and that was, and Chanel was the call for reasoning, you know.
Right.
And I just want to say to everybody in the chat room, you guys are awesome. Thank you for coming to the chat room. And pretty much anybody else got something? King Simone, you got something to say?
No, I was going to tell everybody have a good night. I guess we'll see you tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, at 7 p.m. Pacific time, my time. And whoever's on the West Coast, on the East Coast, I mean, it'll be I think it'll be what, 2 hours difference, maybe?
Add 3.
Ow, 3 hours difference.
7 p.m. Pacific is my kind of talk.
Yeah. So, do you think 7 o'clock will be too late to come on, King Samoan?
I don't think so. Personally,
No.
that's good for me.
My goal tomorrow is I want to come on at 7 and I want to go off at 11.
All right. Yeah.
That's
I'll
my
be
goal.
here, brother. I'll be here to help you.
I know you will. And Dana Nicole, thank you so much for coming in again. And I'm gonna go ahead and get you out of here, Dana Nicole. Anything you want to say?
Nope. Thank you for putting up with me trying to still figure out all this StreamYard stuff.
You can come back. If you want to, you can come back tomorrow also.
I'm learning the same thing, Dana, so I'm right there with you. I don't have a damn clue about any of that stuff.
Yeah, we're all learning. We're all learning.
Good. And I feel like I have a delay.
Hey, you know what? Believe it or not, your avatar looks really, really good, and we can hear you with your avatar.
Yeah, we can hear you good now.
Okay, good. I feel like every time that there's like a pause and I start to talk, then somebody else is talking. So I apologize if it seems like I'm talking over anybody. Sorry.
That's anybody.
No, you're good.
That's anybody.
Yeah, it happens, I guess, with multiple people on, but,
Mr. Equalizer, good night to you too, sir. You did a really good phone call tonight. Ty Corbin, thank you for coming in at the last minute. Tony 801, thank you for coming in. I was the mod tonight because Melissa has to wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning. God bless her soul. And thank you. And like I said, Dana Nicole, you can come back on tomorrow as well as Ruben Sanchez. But anybody wants to come on the panel, they're more than welcome to. And I just want to say, Chanel, thank you for calling in tonight. And I really appreciate you. And everybody else in the chat room, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for all the Utah.
All right.
And Equalizer, thank you for all the Utah talk.
Yes. I got a little bit of more knowledge on Tokerville.
Yeah. I'm interested in that. I'm interested in that amusement park that's down there.
Over there in Salt Lake, the lagoon.
Yeah.
My family has season passes to lagoon. It's it's more for the younger crowd. I don't do the rides and stuff. My kids all make fun of me because my ex-wife goes on the rides with the kids. I don't. I refuse to. I'm one of those guys that I don't like that feeling, man. Like the roller coaster in your stomach feeling. I'm not that type of guy. That shit scares the hell out of me. So my kids all call me a chicken shit because I don't go on any of those rides. But yeah, it's a cool place for the kids. It really is. They got some cool rides there.
Do I see happening in our future?
Yep. Whatever you said, I was just saying because I'm in the middle of a text message.
I don't ride roller coasters either.
You know what? Hey, you know what? I used to be a roller coaster fanatic, King Samoan and Dana Nicole. And let me tell you something. You know what happened? When they started building these damn new ones, I went on one of them, like the one that's over there in what's that? No, not Knott's Berry Farm or not Disneyland, not the one that's out by Magic Mountain. I rode that damn new roller coaster out there that goes like you're done in 1 minute. That roller coaster,
Superman.
I blacked out on that I blacked out on that roller coaster.
Yeah, they have the Superman and the Batman. The Superman's the one that goes straight up, isn't it, and comes back down. And the Batman one's the one where you're hanging.
Yeah, you're
both
hanging.
Of those rides.
That's the one. That's the one I passed. That's the one I passed out in. That's the one I passed out in.
Okay, not the one that shoots off the top of the stratosphere in Vegas.
No, my kids did. My kids and my ex-wife, one of my kids, my oldest one, did that. And hell no, they got all those crazy ones on top of there.
You know the Stratosphere in Las Vegas?
Mm-hmm.
I rode that fucking ride.
You did? Yeah, I wouldn't do it.
I did too.
It's a scary ride.
I was there in October, and it was $30.
What's that?
One ride.
Isn't there multiple rides up there? Isn't there one that like goes over and like hangs off the side of the Stratosphere, and then there's a one that shoots straight up or something?
Yeah.
The big shot shoots up, and then there's a roller coaster that hangs off the side too. But I can't afford that kind of crap.
I've been you know where Ventura County is, right? Ventura, is that St. Samoan? I did their little county fair up there. I was with the Carnival business. Now I've been telling people I've been in the Carnival. That damn Carnival there is like so strict, dude, that if you do anything wrong, you're going to jail out there.
Yeah.
Well, it's a nice place to become homeless.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
I'm kidding. That's my sense of humor.
Well, there's a lot of people there that do enjoy it over there, though. You are right. That whole area.
I lived in Santa Barbara for a while, and you guys would be shocked at the number of homeless people. I saw the nastiest things in Santa Barbara.
Really?
I saw a man that had been homeless. He was sleeping under a semi truck. He had spider webs in his belly button.
What the hell?
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then the semi started and he got ran over.
Oh, jeez. Holy hell.
So he had more than spider webs in his belly button. He had bigger problems.
Yeah, I bet.
Well,
Johnny, should we call it a night or what?
Yes, sir. We should call it a night. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of people one by one, so I don't I'm being rude and just cut off the whole broadcast.
Oh, you're good.
You can off right now. Next time I'll tell you about my streaker story.
You want to do your story right now?
Well, it's quick. You'll have to see the picture to appreciate it, actually.
Well,
okay, how about we do
back tomorrow? You can always show us tomorrow.
Yeah, how about tomorrow?
That's
how about
what
you show
I said.
Tomorrow?
I'll tell you my streaker story tomorrow.
Dana Nicole, do me one favor, because I'm not going to be able to send you the link tomorrow in the chat room, because I need you to email me, cash at me $1 and send me your email, and I'll cash app you back with my email so you can have your dollar back. Okay? I think
you don't have to send me back, or I'll text you my email.
Okay, yeah, because I like to do it through the StreamYard. You know what I mean? So it'll be more easier for you just to hit the link and you'll come right up.
Yeah, she can just text your number,
I'll send you my email.
Okay. There you go.
Can you show pictures on your thing? Because mine's going to be a visual. I'm kidding.
Can I do what?
She was joking with
I said, if you want to get the full effect of the streaker story, you're going to need to be able to show a picture up.
Yeah, you can send me the picture. Or you can bring the picture with you and you can show it.
Okay. And it's not going to get you striped, I promise. All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna get off of here so you guys can. Good night.
All right.
Good night, Dana. It was good talking to you.
Good talking to you.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Night.
She's out of here.
All righty.
All right. Mr. King Samoan. I really appreciate all the stuff that you're doing for me, and that's the reason why I want to talk to you tomorrow before we come on. Right, what time's a good time for me to call you tomorrow?
You can call me anytime, man. You got the number.
Are you gonna be up probably about around 10 or between 10 and 12? I'll call you.
Yeah, I'll be up.
And I'm gonna talk to you about a few things, and because I really do believe in we can get this really going. Right. You know.
Well, and it seems like you got a good chat. You know what I mean? You don't got a bunch of people in here causing drama or talking shit. No matter what channel they came from, it seems like everybody's getting along for the most part, which is cool. You know, we're not about the drama or any of that shit, even though people bring it. But I'm not anyway. I don't know about you. Don't seem to be either. You know,
no,
I just
I'm
like
not
to
about
hear
the
people's
drama.
Stories. Honestly, I'm a big person. I like to listen to people's war stories. You know what I mean? Yeah. About their life. That's the stuff that interests me personally, but that's just me, you know.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. So for that, for everything, and Nancy said good night. Nancy said good night, King Samoan OG,
Have a
and
good night.
Danielle Illuminati. Good night. Oh yeah, Danielle Illuminati. I want to ask you something. Now here's the thing, King Samoan. Danielle Illuminati. She's got her own channel. Okay.
Right.
She requested for me to go over there and let her read her cards on me for astrology.
Uh-huh.
So
you know,
I'm letting
I'd really be into that too. You know, I was talking to Nance and her actually, I think last night or the night before about the whole birthday chart or something. You know, and
yeah,
they were
that's what it
explaining
is.
it
A
to
birthday
me.
chart.
Yeah, all that type of stuff. I'd be interested. I would go watch it. I haven't watched the show, but I'll
Well,
definitely
I was going to ask.
subscribe and watch your show.
I was going to ask Daniela if she can bring you up too, and we could do it together.
Yeah, you know, I'm down. You know, I'm always down to support you, Johnny, no matter what, man. You know, I'm pretty easygoing when it comes to that. I don't care. You know,
Yeah,
if she'll have
Daniela's.
me, I'll be up there.
Yeah, Daniela says she wants to read his birth chart. I want you to read my birth chart too, Deanna. So we should do an after show party off of after my show tomorrow, and go right into your show tomorrow if you want to, or whenever day's available for you.
Right.
I shouldn't be asking you to do that tomorrow. You know, I'm not that big yet, but I'm getting there. I'm gonna get there slowly. I'm not trying to rush nothing.
You'll get there. No worries. You'll get there. But yeah, I'm interested in that stuff. That stuff's cool. Like I said, I'm big into energy and feeling and reading other people's energies. So, you know, the whole birthday chart and astrology stuff, I'm not familiar with it. You know, my ex-wife's kind of into that stuff, and I used to make fun of her and call it hippie shit. Like, you're all into that hippie shit all the time. You know, so I never really paid attention to it. And no offense to anybody in the chat, but I'm really open to it, you know. And these ladies were telling me that it's really accurate, like scary accurate. So, you know, I think it would be interesting to see what your chart says.
Okay, yeah, she told me that Danielle Illuminati told me to text her with all my information.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you know, Danielle Illuminati, King Samoan's really interested too.
No, she don't have to do nothing for me, bro. I'll be there to support you if she'll have me, but she don't have to do nothing for me, for real.
Okay.
I'll be there just to listen for you, man.
Right. Well, you do a lot over here, so and I appreciate that. And I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up now. And King Samoan, I'm gonna call you tomorrow morning between 10 and 12. I'm gonna give you a call, and I'm gonna get you out of here. Okay.
Sounds good, brother.
I love you, brother.
Have a good night. We'll talk to you later, bro.
All right. I love you, man.
Love you too, brother. See ya.
All right. See ya. There he is. He's gone, ladies and gentlemen. He was a good sport tonight. He's a good man. And Moonchild, Equalizer, Tony 801, Danielle Illuminati, thank you for coming to the show. Deicer, thank you. And Nance, thank you for all showing up. I love you, every one of you. Until next time, this is Johnny Yarbrough. Peace. I'm out.